lights out. Drag race on to turn number 1 from the pole position. Jeff May, Herron side by side as they accelerate down into turn number 1.
And it looks as though Herron will grab the lead here off the start. Just a single wave. Used to be 3 waves to get this event underway, but they go all 53 riders with this opening wave and the charge into the east end of the infield through the International Horseshoe Turn for the first time. They lean on the right side of those tires. We've got a couple of riders going long into that International Horseshoe Turn. They're going to lose a bunch of positions and rejoin the field here on the infield straightaway. A couple of those riders got way too hot in the east end of the infield, had to run the escape road as the lead pack of riders locked together. The freight train of Daytona 200 motorcycles works the short chute, coming to the sweeping left-hander here at turn number 6. And it does look as though Herron on that number 2 Mean Motorsport Wheels in Motion machine has gone to the front here on this opening lap as they work the west banking now for the first time. Those first 2 riders pulling a bit of a breakaway, and I believe Jeff May has gone around in the draft to retake the lead off of turn 2 of the super speedway. They begin to run down the back straightaway now. 3rd and 4th trying to play catch up to give us a front running quartet, and then just a little bit of a gap back to 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10 riders up in that lead pack as they tighten it up. One of those riders goes long at the chicane, takes the runoff area, got in there a little bit too hot, and now we've got a rider crashing at the chicane. We see straw bales exploding. One of the riders went down over there in the chicane area, and they're going to red flag this one, so we're going to have to go to a complete restart here at Daytona. Red flags are out around the speedway after at least 1, maybe 2 riders were involved there at the chicane. As the corner workers are out, we see one of the motorcycles sitting in the middle of the racetrack there. And then I believe there is a second rider involved there in the chicane area. So we will get that sorted out. I believe Charlie Long, number 314, is one of the riders that was involved.
Pat, he qualified very well. Also, there was an incident here in turn number 3. 1 rider crashed. 2 riders had to take the runoff and run around the outside of turn number 3. They're trying to get those motorcycles organized and heading back to the paddock area and getting back to the grid to get this thing organized. But massive destruction to hay bales over there on the backside. Hay bales certainly proved their worth as the motorcycles were out of control there in the grassy area, and then were unable to control before they got to the hay bale barrier that kept them from re-entering the racetrack. Now, the rider that crashed here in turn number 3, I did not get the number. It was a Kawasaki. I didn't get the number though, but the rider was very dejected and walking away. He might be trying to chase his bike down and get back in this thing, because as you said, Pat, it will be a complete restart for this 200.
Well, it does look as though Long, number 314, Charlie Long, Pompano Beach, Florida rider on the Ducati 848, was the rider who went down there. He was sitting up and I think took a walk into the ambulance, so he'll be brought back here and checked over at the infield care center. So a couple of riders. There was a second rider off as well there at the chicane. Can't quite get the number on that second machine, but everybody is going to roll back here on a pit road, and we're going to have a complete restart. They'll go back to the original grid positions and get this one back underway, as they're still working on the cleanup there at the chicane and under the...
Well, Pat, you know, when you go down that back straightaway at speed, especially with a little bit of a tailwind in a pack of riders, there's absolutely no wind at all to slow you down. In fact, you actually get sucked deeper into the corner, and it is really like nothing you can do. You're in way over your head. I remember back in the old TZ 750 days when Kurt Lentz was featured as the rider of the Agony of Defeat just before the ski jumper took his header on ABC Wide World of Sports. There was a crash there. I think Henry Rudy Gow also was one of the riders who managed to crash there during the early stages of a 200. But again, there's just so much movement of air down that back straightaway with a herd of motorcycles. It's just like a vacuum effect that sucks you down and into the corner. And if you get anywhere near your normal braking area, you are in way too deep, because usually when you sit up, you get this big blast of air on your chest. And I used to use like my knees, I'd flop my knees out as well and get like an air brake effect, but just absolutely no braking effect from the wind, as that whole herd just went charging in there. Of course, the rider that had the incident here in turn 3 got in there, crashed, and 2 riders right on top of him had to pick the bike up and ride off around the escape area there in turn number 3. So he got up very quickly and appeared to be okay. That rider back in the chicane, walking to the ambulance. Meanwhile, on pit lane, a little bit of a scramble going on there, and they are actually changing tires on some of the motorcycles up and down pit lane. I think it's the old boat company crew who are going to a rear tire, a different rear tire on the Eslick machine, and I'll have to look and see if other riders there are involved in doing that as well. But a little bit of a scramble out on the racetrack as the corner workers get the hand brooms out, doing cleanup the old-fashioned way there as we try to get this thing back underway. Pat? Looking around the racetrack, all of our pickup vehicles there getting back into position here in the infield. The corner working crew, the Daytona safety crew, the men and women of the Daytona safety crew there making sure that the racetrack is ready there in the turn 3 area. Same thing is going on over in the chicane area. It looks like they've just wrapped up the majority of their work there in the chicane, and a number of riders actually are early in that pack. I think a rider running about 5th or 6th got sucked into the chicane, had to take the runoff road, and then behind him in that second group of riders, there was major mayhem as they got in there way too deep, and a number of them just had to take to the grass and were ending up in the hay bales there in the backside of the racetrack. But now cleanup has been completed here in turn 3. We'll try to get a look over there in the chicane area and see how they're doing here as the crews return to their positions, and real quick action by our Daytona safety crew as they were out there almost immediately sprinting from their positions there behind their protective equipment barriers to get over and into position to help that rider and get that motorcycle off. They picked the motorcycle up, and we would have been able to run clear through the turn 3 area as the pack would have made it back here. But it's that incident in the chicane that has brought the stoppage of our race out. So again, we'll reload and get things ready to go here for the restart, a complete restart of our 74th running of the Daytona 200. Welcome to all you fans in the infield, and I agree with Josh Herron. This is one of the best crowds we've seen here at Daytona in a number of years, and it's really, really great to have you all here.
Well, Rich, the 5 board is being displayed to the field as the riders head back out here on another warm-up lap. The number 314 machine, Charlie Long, as we said, was one of the 2 motorcycles involved in the incident at the chicane that brought out the red flag. Looked like Long got into the straw bales back there, crashed the machine. Charlie Long did, after sitting up there, did walk into the ambulance. That's always a good sign, but I think his afternoon is over very, very early. He had qualified in 15th position on that Ducati 848, the Pompano Beach, Florida rider, who I think planned on doing some further racing tomorrow as we wrap up this Daytona 200 motorcycle week here at Daytona International Speedway. There's 15 5-lap championship Cup Series sprint races that'll be run on the same 3.5 one-mile track here at Daytona tomorrow. to close out what has been a marvelous Daytona 200 motorcycle week, going back to a week ago when they actually jammed the Speedway here for the Daytona Supercross by Honda. And then Sunday and Monday, the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross events ran here at the Speedway on the same Supercross track. And then on Tuesday, for the first time, we had Supercross ATV racing that brought out a tremendous crowd. And of course, we were out here on Thursday afternoon with the first of the practice sessions for the various classes, where Eric Wood and Jeff May took turns topping the practice orders. May, of course, here on Friday took our Rye Pole Award. And in addition to the $175,000 in purse money that'll be paid out to the top 40 finishers here this afternoon, there's thousands more in various contingency awards. And of course, our race winner will receive that beautiful Rolex Daytona Cosmograph watch, whoever can win this thing at the end of the 57 laps. Let's go back on pit road. Rich Chambers.
Yeah, Pat, as they make their way through the chicane and roll back in here now, they didn't take very long. Once the bikes got back and in position, you can tell when each of the rows is complete. There is a marshal there, ASRA marshal, that puts a clipboard up in the air. And they've got the bottom of the clipboard yellow so that the flag personnel can see when each row is complete. And then once each row is complete, they do go with the countdown. The light actually comes on when the two board goes up, and the red light is what actually starts. When that red light goes out, that's the signal for the start. Used to in the old days, they used the green flag, but there was so much conjecture about somebody knowing when the starter would flinch before he threw the flag. And so in the effort of making safe racing and equal racing for everyone, they went to the light. You can't see when he flips the switch on the light. Everybody is in a box, and they can't leave that box until the green light goes. Again, it's just an effort to try to make everything equal for all of the competitors here at Daytona, using the starting light to start this 74th running of the 200.
Tire, first four rows, all of the riders back in position. The 69 machine of Danny Eslick alongside of 29 Barrett Long, as the last of the riders rolls back into position here. And now the countdown board shows on 4 some kind of a problem there with the Barrett Long machine. They're checking over the Barrett Long number 29 machine, and they're going to push him off of the starting grid here. Not sure what the problem is there with the Ducati number 29, but they've pushed him off of that second row. There might have been some kind of a fluid leaking from the bottom of the machine, so Barrett Long has been pushed off to the side. This will be a big disappointment for the South Florida fans, and we are away. A couple of riders there on the front row. I believe it was Stefano Mesa, did not get off the line very well. He got shuffled back about 4 or 5 positions as they worked through turn number 1 and head down towards the east end of the infield here. Bit of a breakaway. That might have been the number 99 machine of Jeff May, was able to jump out in front. We'll double check it here as they work through the International Horseshoe.
Side by side for second place as they battle up the infield. 2 and 3 rider groups there, all strung together, all 50 motorcycles tightly packed, and it looks like May's trying to make a breakaway. Again, they're side by side for second place. A challenge and pass for second place in the West Horseshoe, Pat.
And I believe that is the number 69 machine of Danny Eslick, who is running in that second place position. That Kawasaki, I think, is Jason Farrell, number 86, who has come up into that third place position. But as they exit out of the infield and work to the west banking, May, number 99, the pole sitter, leading Eslick 69, as they work off of turn number 2 now of the Super Speedway and head down the back straightaway.
Tag team draft, second and third place get hooked up together, trying to run down the leader, May. They've got about 12 bike lengths separating themselves from the leader. Hard on the brakes, they dive into the chicane here on lap number 1. This time it appears everybody's strung out just a little bit. One rider, brave stuff there in the chicane. One rider back at about 15th, blows the chicane. That'll cost him about 4 bike lengths. Meanwhile, they have caught the leader on the east banking. Pat?
Indeed, battle for the lead coming up here side by side as Danny Eslick, last year's Daytona 200 champion, coming right up here to challenge for the lead. And Eslick, I think, is going to lead him across the line here at the end of lap number 1. Or will he? No. Change as they work back down. That is May, number 99, and then Jason Farrell on the number 86 machine right there in second. Eslick is third. Steve Rapp now has joined the front-running quartet. It is 4 riders, then a bit of a gap back to number 3, Bruno Silva, and then the Kawasaki of Eric Wood runs in the 6th place position to the International Horseshoe. Looks like we've got 6 riders now up front in that lead pack on the infield straightaway. May, number 99, leading the way. Eslick, 69 in second. Farrell being shuffled back into the 3rd place position. And then Steve Rapp, the 2007 Daytona 200 champion, has made it up into the 4th place position. So Jeff May, the pole sitter, leading here on lap number 2 as they work the short chute and head to the sweeping left-hander at turn number 6, about to exit out of the infield and work to that west banking.
Josh Herron got a horrible start. He's buried back in the front of that second little wad of motorcycles trying to make his way up there. But boy, once he starts picking up the draft, he should be able to work his way up the lead gap. Only about 2 bike lengths side by side for 3rd place. Now this drafting, slingshotting that's going on is going to help them run down the race leader. Here's a challenge for the lead in the chicane. No, he thinks better of it, but they tighten up that front 7-rider group. Then 2 more riders, then another 5-rider freight train into the chicane. Another rider blows the chicane, Pat. That wind is really whipping down the back straightaway, and it's really giving them a fit getting in there into the chicane.
Well, indeed, close racing all the way through that front-running pack now that consists of 7 riders. And Josh Herron is the rider who has been able to run up here and catch the other 6 riders. Herron will be at the tail end of that group as they work back up across the line, and we'll have a new leader. It is Josh Herron from 7th, Richard, all the way up into the lead. Herron on that Mean Motorsport Wheels in Motion entry went from the tail end of that lead pack all the way up into the lead. So the 2010 Daytona 200 champion, Josh Herron, the Dublin, Georgia rider on that R6, on the R6 Yamaha, runs wide. Eslick goes to the front. Herron in second as they continue to play shuffle the deck here through the infield, working down to that west horseshoe turn. And now that lead pack consists, I believe, of about 8-9 riders as they work that west horseshoe turn. 9 riders up in that lead pack. Herron number 2, Eslick 69, along with 99 to pole sitter Jeff May. Steve Rapp 15 is part of that lead battle, as is 86 Jason Farrell. The Kawasaki of Eric Wood is right there. He was 6th across the line. Number 3, Bruno Silva, the Slovenia rider. Bastian Skubik, number 74, is running in the 8th place spot. And then Stefano Mesa, I believe, is the last of the riders up in that lead pack. They're separated by 1 second, separating the top 9 riders. They work off the end of the back straightaway into the chicane, and still those 9 riders here locked together. And looking at the qualifying times, Richard, we figured we'd have this kind of a close lead pack early as they continue to swap not only the lead but positions all the way through that front-running freight train of 9 Daytona 200 motorcycles. Rich?
Pat, 2 years ago when Aaron won the championship, there was a tremendous rivalry between himself and Eslick, and that is building as those two battle up in front of this group as they come back to the stripe. Eslick down low on the banking. No, that's Mesa. No, Eslick. Eslick, who blows by on the low side, and one rider slow right in front of him, or maybe he's on the access road and won't be a problem. But Eslick, Herron, and that whole group now are tag teamed together. 9 motorcycles there in that front group as they battle into turn number 3. Here on lap 3, Eslick with the advantage. Herron shadowing him up the short chute. The Suzuki looks like it's got just about equal power with the Yamaha. Down to the fast left-hander they go. Great racing here early on, Pat.
Well, indeed, that is Steve Rapp, number 15, running in that 3rd place position. Jason Farrell on the Kawasaki is 4th. And then Jeff May was back in fifth at the end of lap number 3 of 57. That makes up the 200-mile run here this afternoon at Daytona. And right now we've got 3 former Daytona 200 champions running 1, 2, 3. Eslick, last year's champion. Josh Herron, who was the 2010 champion, and then back in 2007, Steve Rapp won it here on a Kawasaki. He's sitting in third, but again, that third place position being hotly contested as Jason Farrell on the Kawasaki comes up here to challenge Rapp for the third place spot into the chicane. Farrell takes a look on the inside, can't get it done, so the order stays the same. Number 69 Eslick, the Broken Arrow, Oklahoma rider, continuing to pace the field on that old boat company Suzuki. And then it is Herron, number 2 on the Yamaha, followed by the number 69 machine in second. Then it is the fight for third between Rapp 15 and the 86 Kawasaki of Jason Farrell.
Oh, Pat, a major shuffle there on the banking, and again, as they come back here to the start-finish line, and again, they just shuffle the order, all manner of shuffling, going down to turn number 1, Eslick, followed into turn number 1, Steve Rapp. May is in third place, Herron pushed back to fourth, Jason Farrell is fifth, and Boston Stubik there in that front pack, along with Bruno Silva and Stefano Mesa. There's another rider, Eric Wood, in that front 9-rider freight train that exits turn number 3 here on lap number 5. Pat?
Well, indeed, they continue to just shuffle the order up front. Jeff May getting back up there, I believe, into that second place position. It is still Eslick as we work lap number 5, leading the way. The pace up front here has been in the minute 52s. The fastest lap of the race right now belongs to Josh Herron as they work their way off of the turn 6 left-hander and back up onto that west banking. It's still anybody's race up front. The front running 7 riders now, separated by about a second, and then Stefano Mesa, number 11, is 8th. Eric Wood runs 9th on the number 5 Kawasaki, and rounding out the top 10 is Bryce Prince on the number 174 machine.
Wholesale shuffle, change in the front, change in third. Here comes a 5th place rider challenging for 4th. That whole front pack just shuffling the deck again as they work down the back straightaway into and out of the chicane again. And again, it's just a wholesale shuffle each time they hit the straightaway. And when they come to the start-finish line, again, they go side by side for 3rd place. And again, that whole pack starts to tighten up as they run back toward the start-finish line. The gearing coming to start-finish with the wind in your face is going to be very important, Pat. To the line, 3 wide. They hit the stripe to complete lap number 6 as they roll into turn number 1. It's still Eslick just ahead of Rapp, May, and Herron, all tightly packed, just ahead of Farrell as they go to turn 1. Pat?
And great ride here by the rider from Slovenia, Boston Skubik. The 40-year-old is tucked in there with the other 6 riders, and now as they work the infield, that front-running group of 9 had split off into a group of 6, and then a trailing group in 7th, 8th, and 9th. That would have been Stefano Mesa, Eric Wood, and Bruno Silva, and they now are trying to catch that front-running group of 6 riders. They work down to the West Horseshoe turn, but it has been back and forth. Danny Eslick, your race leader, followed by, I believe that is Jeff May, who has made his way around into second, then Steve Rapp, Josh Herron on the number 2 machine, Jason Farrell, and then Boston Skubik. As they clear out of the infield and head to the west banking. It's still 9 riders up in that lead group as we work lap number 6 of 57 here for the Daytona 200. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, tires are working real good right now. Riders are real bold, and again, that draft with the tailwind down the back straightaway. Look at this wad of motorcycles, all 6 machines up there, real tightly packed. They're starting to shake off that second little 3-rider group, but they could start to close up just a little bit if they could just get a whiff of the wind coming off of those front 6 riders. They shuffle the order again as they work the banking. May kind of biding his time back there in third. Steve Rapp riding a great race on the tuned racing Yamaha as they swing off of NASCAR 4 and head back here to the start-finish line. Again, they form up single line and then go 2-3 wide as they come to start-finish. Steve Rapp still right there tucked in the middle of that battle. In fourth place, Eslick now pushed back to third as Herron takes his turn at the front of the field. Pat?
Jeff May back up into that second place position as they complete that sixth lap. It was Herron on the number 2 machine who has gone to the front. Jeff May 99 now in second, and then the 69 machine of Eslick down into third. Fourth at the moment is Steve Rapp 15. Then fifth is 86 Jason Farrell, the Oshkosh, Wisconsin rider on that Kawasaki. And then it is Bastian Skubik, number 74, the rider from Slovenia, holding on to 6th. 11th, Stefano Mesa is 7th. 8th is 5, Eric Wood. 9th is the number 3 machine of Bruno Silva. And rounding out the top 10 is Bryce Prince, number 174. Let's take you a little bit further back. 11th is Carl Soltesz, number 620. Armando Ferrer on the number 6 machine is up into 12th. The 8 machine of Seth Starnes is 13th. Rider number 710, Ryan Christian, is 14th. David Sadowski Jr. on the number 101 machine in 15th. Dustin Apgar, the Phoenix, Arizona rider on the 31 machine, runs 16th. The rider on the Triumph, Alan Slaney, number 9, is 17th. Sean Dwyer, 429 in 18th. 19th is number 119, George Latakis. And rider number 131, Christopher Knopf, rounds out your top 20 as we work lap number 7. Rich?
A-Rider pack coming up on some traffic now. It'll be interesting to see if they try to use the draft off this traffic, but it's definitely going to shuffle the order as they try to scrape off the riders following them on this piece of traffic. All that whole 8-rider pack starts to shuffle around here. And again, as they run back here to the start-finish stripe, they'll form up and go double wide, side by side, across start finish. Eslick back out in front. He's got a perfect gear for coming back here to the stripe. He'll take back over the lead. May there in second, Rapp third, and Herron pushed back to fourth place. Jason Farrell doing a good job staying right there, and Subic just riding and waiting here for later on in the race. What a KG veteran there, just staying put on the Endotherm Yamaha. Pat?
Eric Wood on that Kawasaki trying to catch that front-running group of 6 riders on the infield straightaway and bring Stefano Mesa, number 11, along with them as they work through the fast left-hander here down to the West Horseshoe. Working lap number 8, the first scheduled group of pit stops should be coming up starting as early as lap number 18 as they work the short chute now and head to the left-hander. Eslick the leader, but he's going to be challenged and a change in the lead. That was Farrell, I think, who just got around for a moment, and then Eslick is able to take him right back side by side as they go to the west banking, and Jason Farrell on that Kawasaki, the Farrell Performance Machine, is leading the Daytona 200. They went through a couple of motors earlier in the week. He bought a motor on eBay. They made the 3-hour trip to Tampa to get that motor last night. Just got it in this morning, and Farrell was quickest in the warm-up at about 9:30 this morning here at Daytona, and right now he is running right with Eslick, who has gone back around to retake the lead. They work out of the chicane and head to the east banking. Danny Eslick back out in front. Then it is Jason Farrell on the Kawasaki running in second, but here comes Farrell. He'll drop to the low side and retake the lead. Rich?
Yeah, he's got a good gear coming back here too. I think he might be under-geared for that back straightaway push with the wind. Here they come on some traffic. This is going to get real interesting. 4 wide for fourth place as they hit the stripe. May with the lead. Herron up there on the other Yamaha. Eslick on the Suzuki, and Schlubik on the Yamaha, and then Farrell on the Kawasaki. Rapp pushed all the way back just ahead of Eric Wood, who has almost caught that front pack as they shuffle through traffic. Rush hour traffic in turn 3. Pat?
Well, I think Jeff May got hung up behind one of those slower riders, Rich, and that's the reason. I think he got shuffled back there a position or two, but at the end of lap number 8, May was your leader. Herron in second, Eslick third, 74, Bastian Skubik running in fourth. Jason Farrell had been shuffled back into fifth, and Steve Rapp 15, and then the Eric Wood machine. So those front-running 7 riders are all locked together. Then just a bit of a gap back to 11, Stefano Mesa in 8th. 9th is the 3 machine of Bruno Silva, and then still rounding out the top 10 is the number 174 Tuned Racing Yamaha of Bryce Prince. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, relatively clear sailing now for the next couple or 3 laps, and they have sorted it out and stretched that pack just a little bit, but it starts to tighten up as they go to the back straightaway, run down to the chicane. And again, they will tighten it back up on the race leader. Nobody's getting away out of this group. Other good racing going on back in the pack, Pat. We've got 4, 5, and 6 rider packs all the way back through the top 40. Meanwhile, the leaders work the east banking up by the Daytona USA sign in turn 3. Now, high on the banking in turn 4, they'll pull it down the wall and drive it onto the front straightaway. Again, a little bit of a breakup in that front pack, but I don't think this is going to last long. A draft slingshot pass to exchange the lead yet again. May and Eslick, they're trying to make a break. Herron just ahead of Stubik, who's moved to 4th place ahead of Rapp. Farrell's been pushed back to 6th. Pat?
That battle up front starting to heat up here now as they pick up the pace. Jeff May, the pole sitter, ahead of Danny Eslick as they go 1-2 to the International Horseshoe. Just a little bit of a gap back to Josh Herron on that number 2 Suzuki. Then it is Bastian Skubik, 74, trying to hold off the 15 machine of Steve Rapp, who is 5th. 86, Jason Farrell in 6th. And now Stefano Mesa on the 11 machine has taken over that 7th place position. Eric Wood, number 5, drops into the 8th place spot. 9th is Bruno Silva, number 3, and still Bryce Prince on the 174 Yamaha rounding out the top 10. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, front 8 making a little bit of a break there. Wood in danger of dropping off the back of that group. He's got to get going and get a good draft down the back straightaway. There's some more of that action I was talking to you about. A 7-rider group just now coming to start finish. That's for positions 20 through 31 as they work the back straightaway. A draft slingshot pass for the lead as Eslick goes in front of May. They exchange the lead again and they dive into the chicane, Pat. And again, nobody is getting away. And that tailwind down the back straightaway is really pushing them hard as they run into the chicane. Up on the banking again, they all go single file up there real high on the banking before they start thinking about drawing a bead down off the banking in NASCAR 4. A challenge for the lead as they come back to the start finish line. Pat?
Indeed, side by side here at the line. Jeff May has gotten around. He's going to be drafted on the low side by Eslick as he goes underneath, and up on the high side it's Josh Herron. The 3 riders side by side into turn 1, and it'll be Eslick 69 on that old boat company machine who will grab the lead. It is 99 May in 2nd, then the number 2 machine of Josh Herron sitting there in the 3rd place spot. Bastian Skubik, 74, is still holding on to 4th. Rapp, number 15 on the Yamaha, rounds out the top 5. Then comes Jason Farrell, 86 and 6th. He's still very much a part of this lead battle. 11, Stefano Mesa runs in 7th. 8th is 5, Eric Wood. 9th is number 3, Bruno Silva. And then rounding out the top 10 is Bryce Prince on that number 174 machine. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, and then we've got that little group of riders I was talking to back just barely in the top 20 behind Prince. Armando Ferrer going at it. Schultz is there. Let's see who else. David Sadowski Jr. in that group as well. Apgar is also in that little 5-rider group there that's just back in the, say, 12th through 15th position. But up front into the chicane again, that front little accordion starts to tighten up again as they dive into and out of the chicane. Pat?
It is Jeff May who has gone back around into the lead. Eslick 69 into 2nd, then the number 2 machine of Josh Herron holding on to 3rd, and they'll split the slower rider up there in the east end of the Speedway as they go both to the high side and the low side to get around that slower rider. They've already leapt up into the field. And again, in qualifying, the rider had to be within 115% of the pole time in order to make the field. And into turn number 1, things have really tightened up. Bastian Skubik is right there, as is Steve Rapp. Jason Farrell has closed in, with the front running 6 riders separated by only about 3 or 4 tenths of a second as they come to the International Horseshoe turn here at the east end of the infield. It is Eslick 69 who is running in the point position. Josh Herron on the number 2 machine running in second, and then side-by-side battle now for the 3rd place spot. Rich?
Oh man, they had some traffic to deal with, and it almost balked the race leader as they dove into turn number 3. Eslick had to kind of, just before he dove it in, ahead of Herron. May is right there with him. They tighten it back up out of the West Horseshoe. They work up the short chute to the left-hander, and it's still that 6, 7, 8, 9 rider field, Pat. And it looks like the 9th place rider, Brian Silva, ninth place, starting to try to catch this front group. As they've caught traffic, Pat, it's actually slowed down the pace of the riders up front, and that's allowing the other pack to close back up. A challenge for the lead, side by side. They blow a big hole in the air, and here comes 3rd place, tightening it up, breaking duel into the chicane. Change in the lead, Pat.
Eslick going back around Josh Herron as these 2 riders battle back and forth. Eslick, the 2014 champion here in the Daytona 200. Herron, the 2010 champion, as they just continue to hammer at each other. Here goes Herron to the low side, up in the east banking. He will retake the lead. Eslick shuffled to second. Jeff May, number 99, sitting right there in 3rd. Boston Skubik, 74, will try to make it a 3-way fight for 3rd as they work back to the line here. And again, a slower rider ahead of this pack as they peel off into turn number 1. Boston Skubik, number 74, I believe, went from 4th all the way into the lead. So the rider from Slovenia, 40 years of age, who's been coming here, I believe this is his 15th Daytona 200, has managed to force his way to the front on that number 74 machine. Now he runs a little bit wide out of the International Horseshoe, and Eslick will dive in on the inside. They'll go side by side up to the fast left-hander, and it'll be Eslick who will retake the lead. Skubik on that Inoterm Yamaha right there in 2nd. And now that lead pack down to the West Horseshoe consists of about 9 riders as it was from the opening lap. We're working lap number 13. Danny Eslick is taken over the lead as they're about to clear out of the infield and head to the west banking. Rich?
Oh man, Boston Skubik up in front. I bet the people back in Slovenia are making some noise for this guy as they work up onto the banking, though. Again, they go single line, conga line style around the banking, and again trying to get the draft working, and here it starts to work. The 4th place machine drops down. He'll take 3rd, now draw a beat on 2nd. Here's a side-by-side battle for the lead. They tighten the pack back up and dive into the chicane and change the lead again. Pat?
Indeed, Eslick this time goes to the front. They just continue to swap positions all over the racetrack as they go to that 31-degree east banking here. The front running group right now consists of a total of 6 riders, then just a little bit of a gap back to 7th and 8th. That is Stefano Mesa and Eric Wood. Those 2 riders desperately trying to close the gap here and make this an 8-way fight at the front. They'll go 3 wide across the stripe, and it is Josh Herron who will retake the lead at the line as they complete lap number 13. Boston Skubik, number 74, right there in 2nd. Danny Eslick 3rd, then Steve Rapp, number 15, 4th, and Jeff May on the 99 machine, the pole sitter, back in that 5th place position. But every one of these riders up in this lead pack have had a turn at running at the front, but nobody's been able to break out of there as they peel off onto the infield straightaway and head down to the fast left-hander.
Yeah, a little bit of a bobble by Herron, and Eslick dives through and grabs the lead. Herron got a little bit wide in turn 3 and just shuffles the order again. Back behind him, Boston Skubik going at it with Rapp. And
Richard, we've got one of the riders in that lead pack has crashed in the West Horseshoe turn. One of the riders in that lead pack has put it on the ground there in the West Horseshoe. The waved yellow caution flags are out. At the west end of the infield, we'll identify which one of those riders it is, but one of the machines that was running up there in that lead pack has put it on the ground in turn number 5, the West Horseshoe turn here at Daytona. Eslick is your leader. Here comes the Josh Herron machine trying to pull up alongside, and the 2 former Daytona 200 champions going side by side down the back straightaway into the chicane. Eslick will hold him off, and now the front-running 4 riders with a bit of a breakaway. So that crash is sort of split apart.
And one of the front group missed the chicane, Pat. That's going to stretch it out too.
So we wait for the lead pack to come off of turn number 4. It is Eslick leading the way, and they're going to be encountering a couple of slower riders as they work back here to the line, and they'll stack it up 3-4 wide across the stripe. It is Josh Herron on the number 2 machine who's got the lead. Steve Rapp in his second, Eslick 69 third, then Boston Skubik in fourth, Stefano Mesa all the way up into that 5th place position, then Eric Wood. And I think it might be Jason Farrell is the rider who has put it on the ground over there in the West Horseshoe Turn. He's just free falling through the running order here, now being shown in the 10th place position. Farrell, the Oshkosh, Wisconsin rider who had a turn at running at the front here, has put it on the ground, and that'll reset the running order. Jeff May, I think, had to take evasive action from Farrell when he went down. He has slid back into about the 7th place position. Bruno Silva up to 8th. Bryce Prince is now running in 9th, and Carl Soltesz on the number 620 machine is your new 10th place rider. Rich?
Yeah, that little crash kind of sorted things out a little bit, and it actually gave Silva a little bit of a chance to catch back up to that front group. And looking at Herron, he's trying to make some kind of breakaway. Steve Rapp has moved back up into 2nd place, and we'll see if Herron can make any kind of break at all. This is the most stretched out that front pack has been all race long. And looking at the lap board, Pat, we're working lap 15. We should see pit stops here in the next 3 laps or so. So again, that traffic and crash by Farrell has stretched out this front pack here early on. Herron trying to use the draft off of the traffic as he is encountering it to try to get a little bit of a cushion between himself and the rest of the riders. Seems like he's got a better gearing down that back straightaway, but coming over here into the wind, it seems like they all bunch up each and every time. The man on the move, Stefano Mesa, has made his way up into the top 5 and taken Eric Wood along with him. They charge into turn number 1. Pat, we're just a couple 3 laps away from our round of pit stops.
And Rich, again, the temperatures here this afternoon at Daytona, I think the highest they've been in all week long. And coming by the start-finish line that time, Danny Eslick was motioning to his crew that he might be coming in the next time by. We'll check it here in a moment as he blasts down the infield straightaway, headed through the fast left-hander. Eslick on the number 69 machine, last year's Daytona 200 champion, leading to the West Horseshoe Turn. He'll bring the rest of that lead group with him. It is Herron on the number 2 machine in 2nd. Steve Rapp, 15, is running in 3rd. 4th is Boston Skubik, number 74, and then Stefano Mesa, this 20-year-old, in the 5th place spot out of Boca Raton, Florida, is having a whale of a ride. Jeff May, number 99, the pole sitter, sitting there in 6th, and then we've got a gap back to Eric Wood in 7th. Rich?
Yeah, well, every time Eslick gets out front and Herron gets a good draft off of him, he manages to blow right by Eslick down that back straightaway. Over on this side, seems like Eslick's got a better gear to come to start finish into the chicane. Herron with the lead, Eslick right on top of him as they dive into and out of the chicane. Again, not much distance separating those two, but again, that front pack is spread out just a little bit, Pat, probably a second and 2 or a second or so separating the front group as they work their way off the banking and head back here to start finish. We'll have to see if Eslick might be making an early pit stop here. He was definitely motioning to his crew as he came by, but not this lap. He holds the lead as he comes to the stripe. Here's Herron drafting by. Eslick almost nerfs him a little bit, sends Herron wide and holds on to the lead as they dive into turn 1. Pat?
Stefano Mesa has turned a lap into the minute 51s, and he has now moved up into that 4th place position. This talented rider who won a bunch of Championship Cup Series Florida championships a year ago is into that 4th place position. Boston Skubik dropping back into 5th. 6th is Jeff May, number 99. 7th is the 5 of Eric Wood. Up into 8th is 174 Bryce Prince. 9th is Carl Soltesz, number 620. And 10th at the moment is number 6, Armando Ferrer. David Sadowski Jr. up into 11th on the number 101 machine. The son of 1990 Daytona 200 winner David Sadowski up into 11th with a great run. 31, Dustin Apgar runs 12th. 13th is the 8 machine of Seth Starnes. 14th is 710, Ryan Christian. 15th is the Triumph rider, Alan Slaney, number 9. 16th, 429, Sean Dwyer. 17th is the Canadian rider, Darren James. On the Yamaha, number 229, James up into 17th. 18th is 119, George Latakis. 19th is 141, Eric Pinzon. And then 20th is 131, Christian Knopf.
Pat, that front 6-rider pack has tightened back up. In fact, they were almost 3 wide there for a moment, and they take multiply different lines through the banking there. And again, that whole little 6-rider group starts to form up and rush back here to start finish. This will be lap number 16 in the books. And Eslick pushed back to second place by Rapp. Rapp taking his turn at the lead of that group into turn 1. Eslick, then, no, I'm sorry, Herron, then Eslick, then Rapp, and then Stefano Mesa. And Mesa is cutting some incredible laps, and he has caught this front pack. Now, the question is, what can he do with them? We're very close to that first round of pit stops, Pat. In fact, numerically, 18, 19, or 20, depending upon your tire wear and what have you, is when you're going to make that run on the pit lane. But there is some traffic that they are encountering there in the fast left-hander, Pat.
Indeed, they'll come up on some slower riders down to that West Horseshoe turn. A big traffic jam as they try to ride in on the outside, trying to pick their way through a big pack of machines down there in the West Horseshoe turn. At the end of lap number 17, Herron was your leader, Eslick in second, and I think they may have shuffled that order going through the infield. I think Eslick just carved his way through there to grab the lead. Herron in second, Rapp number 15 third, 11 Stefano Mesa turning in a great ride here in fourth. Fifth is Bastian Skubik. Then the pole sitter 99 Jeff May in sixth. Eric Wood still running seventh. Eighth is 174 Bryce Prince. Ninth is 620 Carl Soltesz, and then Armando Ferrer on the number 6 machine, rounding out your top 10 here at the moment. Rich?
Yeah, I've had the last man on that 6-man freight train taking a big chance. Stuvik and May really taking a chance to dive into the chicane and not get hung up, and now they stack it 3 and 4 wide on the banking as they try to run down the race leaders. The traffic there coming into play as they sweep off of NASCAR 4 and head back here to the start-finish line. Again, they'll shuffle the order behind the race leader, Eslick, as they come to the line. Herron just a half bike length back as they hit the stripe again. Eslick pushing Herron wide into turn 1. These two old rivals have renewed it again here in the 74th running of the 200. Pat, they don't really care for each other, and they're riding the race of their year. This is to kick off each of their seasons, and again, just a war renewed from a couple of years ago. Pat?
Herron right on the rear tire there of Eslick as they work the infield straightaway, heading down to the fast left-hander as they roll through there to the West Horseshoe. For the moment, they've got some clear racetrack ahead of them. The two riders, 69, Danny Eslick, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, aboard that Suzuki GSR-XR 600, followed by Herron on the number 2 Yamaha, as they now have opened up a little bit of a gap on the third place rider. That was Stefano Mesa on the number 11 machine, as the pace continues to be set very, very hot here, still running 53s in traffic. And the front running 2 riders for the first time here as we work lap number 19. So the scheduled pit stop starting to come up here. We've already had a few riders on a pit road. Rider number 140, Christian Miekma, was a rider who evidently ran out of gas or his motorcycle broke. He's brought it onto pit road, so it looks like his afternoon has ended here early as the number 15 machine of Steve Rapp runs in 4th, Bastian Skubik 5th, And a change in that top 10 as number 6, Armando Ferrer, has moved up into the 9th place spot, pushing Carl Soltesz on the number 620 machine back into 10th.
On the pit lane, here comes Herron. I think, let me get a good look. Yes, Josh Herron rolls in, hits the mark for the crew, and instantly they're going to have to get the stand on. The quick fill goes in. They can't touch the machine until the refueling is complete. You have to be completely clear of the machine before you can touch that rear axle. Now the axles are out. New tires go on as the pit stop works its way through here. Herron back on the machine. They drop it down, give him a little push, and he's back underway. About 22 seconds, Pat, with the new refueling rule. 22 seconds, that's still a pretty good stop. Rapp on pit road as well. Number 15, Rapp, back out and away as well as he performs a pretty quick stop. Also Mesa on the Westside Performance Yamaha. He completes his stop and heads back out onto the course. So 3 of our top 6 dive on the pit lane. Pat?
And again, this is going to shuffle the running order, but only temporarily. Danny Eslick stayed out on the racetrack as he works his way around with the lead. Many of the other riders who are in that lead pack elected to stay to come onto pit road as Eslick stays out on the racetrack right now, running all by himself down the back straightaway, headed for the chicane on what is lap number 20. The Broken Arrow, Oklahoma rider aboard that old boat company, a Suzuki machine, leading the way here in the Daytona 200. I think unofficially, Rich, we've had about 6 or 7 different leaders so far in as what has been just a barn burner of a 74th Daytona 200. We'll reset the running order for you, but right now it is Danny Eslick.
Here's Eslick on pit road, and he is storming down pit lane, still tucked in. Now he's on the brakes hard, pulling down to the old boat company crew. They are ready for him. They're on pit lane. He rolls to a stop. Now again, they're going to have to complete the refueling. They're actually going to change the tires first and then refuel, Pat. Okay, everybody steps away from the machine. Refueling rig goes in.
Eslick talking.
Okay, Eslick back on.
And Eslick talking to one of his crew members.
They're having trouble with the rear wheel, Pat.
Yep, indeed. Problems with the chain. This is a heartbreak for Danny Eslick. They're having a problem at the rear of the motorcycle. Finally, they get the chain buttoned down, and Eslick is away, but he has lost some valuable time here on pit road as we see other riders rolling in here for the first scheduled, and now looks like we are going to go to a full course yellow. We'll check to see where the problem might be here on the racetrack. So this is going to really shuffle the running order here as riders come onto pit road, going to the full course yellow.
Well, Pat, what it's going to do is give Eslick a chance to close back up. The riders who had a good pit stop and were able to jump in and out of the pits very quickly are unable to enjoy the benefits of that quick pit stop because Eslick will now be able to close the gap back up on him, even though there will be some riders between himself and them. It won't be the 5 seconds of track that he at speed that he had lost with that problem with the rear wheel. They just could not get the chain on. In fact, they started to change the wheels and then stopped changing the wheels to put the gas in, and then they went back to do the finish up of the wheel change, and I think that interruption of motion is what actually caused the problem with the rear wheel. Other bikes up and down pit lane, I think, let's see, that's the number 15 machine of Rapp back on pit lane, Pat. I don't think this is a scheduled pit stop. Steve Rapp back on pit lane, some kind of problem.
Well, Rich, they have gone to a full course yellow here, so the riders rolling on to pit road. In fact, they're showing the red flags out here as well, so we'll check to see where the problem is on the racetrack. But right now, the riders rolling back onto pit road, and of course, this is going to completely shuffle what had been the running order, and then looking at some kind of a restart based on the running order before that red flag came out. So 20 laps had been completed for part of the field.
Yeah, Pat, and what they're going to do is generate a running order and then generate a grid from that running order. They covered this in the Daytona 200 riders meeting, that there should be a problem and there was a stoppage. They will generate a new grid based on running order. So all the teams up and down pit lane getting a chance to top off the machines here. 20 laps completed by only one, two. No, well, I didn't get a good look at it before they flipped the screen, but we'll have to see. They, of course, when they do stop it, they back up the actual laps. The last completed lap, I think, is what they go back to, and then generate the actual grid from that. So if that is the case, Pat, they're going to put Danny Eslick at the top of the order.
Indeed, Rich. That's the running order for the last lap for the entire field, and that'll go back to lap 19, where Eslick was the race leader. Rapp, Herron, and Stefano Mesa, I believe at that point, had been sitting in the fourth place spot, as looks like we've got somewhere in the vicinity of approximately 20 riders who were still running on the lead lap at that point. We'll get a complete rundown here, and we'll have to go to a restart as the motorcycles being worked on here on pit road. We'll try to get an update on the situation that has brought out this red flag here after officially 19 laps in the Daytona 200, scheduled for 57 laps here this afternoon. Let's go back on pit road. Richard Chambers, and then we'll give you a rundown of the top 20 as we prepare to go to a restart here as quickly as possible. Rich?
Well, I think the Oboe Company crew are doing a good thing. They actually took the rear wheel off and examined the spacer and the actual installation process of the rear wheel, just to kind of look it over and to kind of make sure that that incident doesn't happen again. All of the machines being topped off here along pit lane, and they have these special little reflective things like a sunscreen you put in your windshield that are cultured and contoured for the gas tank itself, and they'll put those on the gas tank to keep the fuel from overheating while it's sitting there in the sun. So a number of these teams will be using this sunshade apparatus to keep the gas from actually expanding in the tank. And you know, Pat, that gasoline, when it starts to warm up, it starts to stretch, it starts to get a little bit bigger. And now that they've topped off all these fuel cells, they don't want them to overheat and start to leak into the engine or out onto the engine and motorcycle. So again, they'll be taking care to either get an umbrella over the gas tank or do some kind of shading apparatus to keep it from getting way overheated. Waiting now for the grid that will be coming from down here near the Gatorade Tower. And again, as soon as we get that, I'm sure very quickly we will reline everything up. And what a big break for Eslick after that minor problem, about a 5-second glitch in the pit stop. He's going to get a chance to get back underway with a full even hand of cards. Pat?
Well, indeed, 19 laps is the rundown that they will use. Danny Eslick, the leader at the end of lap number 19. Steve Rapp on the 15, Tuned Racing Yamaha, was sitting second. Josh Herron, number 2, was third. Fourth was 11, Stefano Mesa, this Boca Raton, Florida rider, just 20 years of age, turning in an outstanding ride here this afternoon, as is Bastian Skubik on the Inotherm Yamaha from Slovenia. He was fifth at the end of lap number 19. Sixth was our pole sitter, Jeff May, on the Mayday fans-sponsored machine. Some 85 people crowd-funded on GoFundMe for Jeff May, and all of their names are on the fairing of that motorcycle. He had a good number of laps where he was running up front in the lead. On lap number 19, he was right there in the 6th place position. Eric Wood on the number 5 Woodcraft Penguin Road Racing School Kawasaki was 7th. 8th was 174 Bryce Prince. 9th was the 620 machine of Carl Soltesz. And then moving up into 10th there on lap number 19 was David Sadowski Jr. on the number 101 machine. Let's take you a little bit further back. Number 31, Dustin Apgar, the Phoenix, Arizona rider, was 11th. Sean Dwyer, number 429, 12th. 13th, 119, George Latakis. In 14th was 229, North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada rider Darren James. On the Yamaha in 14th, Christopher Knopf, number 131, 15th. 16th was 683, Ryan Jones, the fastest of the Honda riders in qualifying. 17th, number 710, Ryan Christian. 18th was 411, Daniel Spalding. In 19th was rider number 332, Arthur Azanuran, and then Armando Ferrer on the number 6 machine, rounding out the top 20 as we await the new grid that they will put together based on the running order of the field at the end of 19 laps. And that's how they will line them up here for the restart. Again, we'll go to the 5 board, get the riders out on a warm-up lap, bring them back here. The countdown boards will go from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. And then once those starting lights go off, that'll be the indication for these riders to head out here to complete the scheduled 57 laps in the Daytona 200. So it'll be a total of 38 laps is what they still have to run here this afternoon at Daytona. Let's go back and check in with Richard Chambers. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, I'm trying to count exactly when Jason Farrell went down. This might be a break for him, too. I think he went down about a lap or two ago.
Well, Farrell did make it back onto pit road, Rich. I'm not sure if he actually made it back out there before the red flag situation. So I think either way, he's not being shown here in the top 20. And if he is on the rundown, I would think he is well beyond 35th or 40th in the rundown of the entire field.
Yeah, Pat, I think you're absolutely right. In fact, they're still doing a little bit of cosmetic work to the right side of the motorcycle where he slid off over in the West Horseshoe. But what a ride by Jason Farrell. What an adventure just to get here to the track, to have gone through so many motors and finally to have to go onto eBay to buy a bottom end and get the machine put together this morning with limited time to spare. Only 5 minutes were the distance between the completion of the actual work and the actual start of the morning warm-up. So again, just an amazing performance by him and his crew here. But still that little tumble over in the West Horseshoe going to put paid to his efforts to try to win this Daytona 200, but still he's fully game. He's ready to go, Pat. And he was so tickled this morning when the bike ran so well, but now unfortunately he's out of the running for that top pack position, but he's still trying to put in a good performance here at Daytona.
And of course, prize money being paid out to the top 40 finishers here, a total of $175,000 available to the riders. And on top of that, you've got all of the various companies that have offered contingency money. And of course, our race winner will walk away here. It'll be presented during our Gatorade Victory Lane presentations at brand new Rolex Daytona Cosmograph watch that has traditionally gone to our pole qualifier. That, of course, changed to an Arai helmet pole qualifying award that Jeff May picked up back here yesterday when he topped all riders in the qualifying sessions. So we are on a hold here at Daytona International Speedway as Danny Eslick will be restarting here on the pole with the running order at the end of 19 laps. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, and the wind is now definitely out of the west. It is completely switched around and it's blowing hard out of the west, maybe 15 miles an hour, maybe a little bit more than that. But you can see the American flag standing up, and all the flags here in the paddock area, they're showing that definitely that wind out of the west is up. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these riders make some kind of gearing change during this, because the wind down the back straightaway, I think that was one of Jason Farrell's problems. His bike was like under geared and it was over revving, and he was having to ride the infield and to really try to make up for being under geared over there on the back chute, and that might have contributed to the little incident there in the West Horseshoe. But again, the wind is definitely coming down the back straightaway. There's no cheating it and hiding against the concrete wall there on the back straightaway to keep the wind from affecting you. It's going to be blowing straight in your back and blowing you right down to the chicane. Of course, over on this side of the racetrack, it's going to be a headwind, about a 20-mile-an-hour headwind. And in fact, in years past, we've heard riders with the wind so intense that they would actually gear the motorcycle to run sixth gear down the back straightaway with the wind, and then run fifth gear over here on this side of the straightaway when they were all alone, and then they had that extra gear if they were in a draft or something to pop out. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's not some gear selection going on down there in the pit area for the rear sprocket on these machines, Pat. Again, it's just one of those little things. We noticed that Herrin really had the good gearing down that back straightaway and over on the banking, but always coming back into the wind. The old boat company Suzuki seemed to have a real good gearing to come back to the start-finish stripe. So we'll have to watch and see if that changes once we get back underway. Grid should be very shortly produced and given to all of our corner working marshals, and again, they will roll out for the warm-up lap and come back and jump into their positions. And Danny Eslick, with a big break here, will move up on the pole position after that scoring had been backed up one lap. Pat?
Well, Rich, the interesting thing in watching that first 19 laps or so, that lead group, every one of those riders pretty much was able to get to the front. And I can remember the first time after getting off to a bit of a slow start, Josh Herrin went from 7th in that pack all the way into the lead, just drafting past everybody between the runoff of NASCAR Turn 4 of the Super Speedway here and the finish line in the stripe. And he was one of the leaders for a while. Eslick, of course, led, as did Jeff May. Bastian Skubik ran at the front, and before he put it on the ground over there in the West Horseshoe, Jason Farrell on that number 86 Kawasaki. We saw up on the fanschoice.tv video feed the motorcycle being worked on here on pit road of Farrell. As we've got, we're looking at the top 30, so he's well beyond the top 30, maybe top 35. So if he can get back out here and make up some of those laps, he might be able to pick up some prize money that, as we said, is being paid out to the top 40 finishers here this afternoon, a total of $175,000. And of course, we've talked about it, the Daytona Rising reimagining of Daytona International Speedway, some $400 million in improvements. That'll be completed by January 2016 in preparation for not only the Rolex 24 and the NASCAR Speed Weeks and the Daytona 500, but when we come back here for Daytona 200 Motorcycle Week 2016, will be the milestone 75th anniversary of the Daytona 200 that, of course, began back on the old beach course in 1937 when Ed Kretz won on an Indian. Just about every brand of motorcycle has won over the years. And last year, of course, it was Danny Eslick who will start on the pole. He was Triumph mounted a year ago, giving Triumph their first win since Gary Nixon won here in 1967. But Eslick on that old boat company, Suzuki GSSR 600, that he qualified fourth fastest yesterday, and has certainly led as many laps as anybody so far here this afternoon, and he was the leader at the end of lap number 19, so he'll have the pole here for the restart as soon as we're set to go. Let's go back on pit road. Rich Chambers.
Yeah, Pat, I just had heard the horns down along pit lane. That means the new grid has arrived, and we should be rolling here very shortly. And again, they will stack the riders into the order that they were running their lap number 19. So again, the grids have been produced and distributed, and is just going to be getting everybody into place there for the actual warm-up lap. So they'll try to get everybody sort of semi-organized, do the warm-up lap, and everybody will know basically where they're going to go here to get back into position. So again, wow, what a day here at Daytona. A little bit of a break in the action, and a chance for us to say thank you to all of the fans that have come out here to enjoy this race today, and a big thank you to all of our fans who are down for the fan walk. You know, it's just an interesting thing that I think the fans really enjoy, and it started right here at Daytona. It's just one of the innovations that they have continued to come up with to try to make the fans have a more enjoyable race experience here at Daytona. And the fan walk, I'm sure, was a big hit. We saw lots of young fans, and Pat, we really love to see the families come here to Daytona. I heard you mention earlier that the younger we get these fans in here and get them trained to love motorcycle racing, the more fans we're going to have. Bikes on the warm-up lap, Pat, as they roll out here onto the racetrack. Again, this will be a just nice, slow, easy warm-up lap. Everybody just checking and making sure everything's ready to go. Then we'll get back underway for the remainder of this 74th Daytona 200. Pat?
Well, indeed, riders continue to file out here off of pit road, waiting for the last of the riders to roll out as the 5 board being shown to the field. And as soon as everybody is off of pit road, they'll quickly switch over to the 4. Once the field has returned here to pit road, they'll quickly go to the 3, then 2, then 1 board sideways, and then as soon as those red starting lights on the top of the flag stand here go off, that is the indication for the riders. So your front row will have the 3 former Daytona 200 champions, Danny Eslick on the old boat company Suzuki, last year's champion in the Daytona 200. Steve Rapp, our 2007 winner. He, of course, was the Kawasaki mounted, the Attack Performance Kawasaki rider that year. Took the win. And then Josh Herron, 2010 winner, raced over in Europe last year, back in the United States this year, will be contesting his championship in the Moto America Series in 2015. So Josh Herron will be the 3rd rider across that front row. So a Suzuki and a couple of Yamahas. Then Stefano Mesa, this talented 20-year-old out of Boca Raton, Florida, will be on the inside of row 2. The middle of the row will be Slovenia's Bostian Skubic, I believe his 15th Daytona 200. He's had a couple of top 10 finishes. He was 9th here a year ago, and he was one of the riders who had a shot there at leading for a while. Jeff May, our original pole sitter and fast qualifier from yesterday, will start outside row 2. And then that 3rd row will have number 5, Eric Wood, on the Woodcraft Penguin Road Racing School Kawasaki. The middle of the row will be Bryce Prince on the Tuned Racing Yamaha, number 174, another one of the up-and-coming future superstars in American road racing. Carl Soltesz, number 620, will be on the outside of row 3, and then row 4 will have 101, David Sadowski Jr. on a Yamaha. Dustin Apgar, the Phoenix, Arizona rider, number 31, will start in the middle of row 4, and then Sean Dwyer on bike number 429 will go from the outside of that 4th row. So riders returning after the warm-up lap. The countdown board has switched over to 3. We're just moments away from the restart here in the Daytona 200. All of that hard work that those riders, Rich, particularly the ones that were up front and swapping positions and the lead, all of that pretty much for naught. as we go right back to the start and line them up here on pit road. But again, this time the grid based on the running order at the end of lap number 19, so 38 laps to go. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, Danny Eslick talking with his crew there, everybody getting into position there, and again, the field appears to be just about set.
3 boards still being shown to the field. The grid marshals checking over to make sure all engines are fired. There's John Ashmead. He's going to start down on the inside. Ashmead a little bit further back here on the starting grid.
And Pat, he's coming up on the record. If he can get it about another 8 laps around this racetrack, he'll be the mileage leader. There's the sign. The lights go on, lights go off. We're back underway. And from the outside of row number 1, Herron tries to get a good launch. He'll pull alongside Eslick as they dive into turn number 1. We're back underway in the Daytona 200. Pat?
Eslick with the early lead. Steve Rapp got a terrible start. He got shuffled back about a half a dozen positions as they work to the International Horseshoe. It is 69. Danny Eslick bringing this freight train of Daytona 200 motorcycles through the east end of the infield. It is the number 2 machine of Josh Herron running up in that second place position as they work down the fast left-hander here to the West Horseshoe turn.
Eslick with the advantage, diving into the West Horseshoe. Herron about 6 bike lengths back. They're all single file as they funnel through that turn. And again, it is solid motorcycles all the way back through the top 30 machines or so. No, even more than that, 35 machines, only separated by 2 and 3 bike lengths each. Eslick up on the banking, up near the Daytona USA sign, using that Suzuki very hard. Herron trying to track him down and immediately starts to pull a draft off Eslick. He'll drop to the low side and blow by Eslick. Eslick in the draft now, off Herron's machine, back behind him. A side-by-side duel for third, but Herron has gone back out in front. Rapp trying to make up for that lousy start. He's back there in about 5th place as they dive into the chicane. Pat?
Indeed, those front-running 2 riders still locked together. Here comes Eslick trying to get back around. Eslick, as you said, Rich, does appear to have the right gearing on that Suzuki to run from the chicane back here to start finish. And if they're this close together on lap number 57, that might be the thing that decides who wins this 74th Daytona 200. And again, there comes Eslick. He'll draft to the low side as they come to the line, and Eslick would have been the winner. Jeff May on the number 99 machine all the way up into third. That's a great start for Jeff May as he has come up into that 3rd place position into turn number 1. It is Stefano Mesa, number 11. That is a quartet of riders and just a little bit of a breakaway. And then we've got about another 7-rider pack from 5th all the way through the rest of the positions there in the top 10. Rich?
Yeah, Bosch and Schubik got shuffled back in that order. He was going to have to make a good ride to get back up to the top 4 as they try to make a breakaway. That next little 12-rider string of machines work through the fast left-hander. Meanwhile, the front 4, Mesa there, camped out in 4th place, right behind May. A little bit of a gap back to Schubik. He's trying to make up for lost time. And look at Prince. Prince, number 114, Bryce Prince on the other of the the Tuned Industries entry up into the 6th place position, Pat, as they go to the banking.
Again, that top 10 order is going to shuffle time and time again. Right now, we've got that little 4-rider breakaway with Skubik on the number 74 machine, trying to catch that front-running quartet as they work down the back straightaway. It is Josh Herron on the number 2 machine. Here comes Eslick trying to stuff him on the inside into the chicane, and Danny Eslick has taken over the lead, going around Josh Herron into the chicane. 99, the original pole sitter, Jeff May, sitting there in the 3rd place spot. Then it is Stefano Mesa on the number 11 machine in 4th. And Eslick and Herron continue to hammer on each other as these 2 former Daytona 200 champions go at it with Jeff May, and they're going to go 3 wide here at the stripe. Eslick to the bottom of the racetrack. On the high side is Jeff May, and across the stripe that time it would have been Eslick, followed by May into second. Then it is the number 2 machine. Herron goes to third. Stefano Mesa right there in fourth. Steve Rapp is up into the 5th place spot now as Rapp tries to catch that front running quartet as they work off turn 1 and head to the International Horseshoe.
Yeah, Pat, and he's using a lot of brakes getting into the horseshoe and cuts a little bit of the distance between himself and the front 4. He's pulled ahead of Boston Shubik just a little bit and is pulled clear, and now definitely coming into contact with that front 4. Rest of the field still sorting themselves out. The top 22 machines were on the lead lap, and that is that front little wad of bikes that works off to the West Horseshoe. Eslick with the advantage over in the West Horseshoe as they run the short chute to turn number 6. It's now 5 riders in that lead group. Pat?
Danny Eslick will bring this front-running group of 5 as Steve Rapp has been able to run through that infield and was able to catch the front-running 4. So it is 5 riders now up in that lead pack, a total of 19 riders running on the lead lap. The last of those riders is number 411, Daniel Spalding in the 19th position. Armando Ferrer on the number 6 machine is back in 20th, but he's running a lap down here at the moment. Front running 5 into the chicane, and again, they're going to shuffle the order. I believe number 99, Jeff May have been able to get around. It is
yes,
Jeff
he
May,
did.
number 99 to the front. Josh Herron on the Yamaha runs in second. Then it is 69, Danny Eslick. Let's look at this Eslick machine as again they're going to draft up on the May machine. Here comes Eslick, and again they're going to go 3 wide. The battle between Stefano Mesa and number 15, that is Steve Rapp for 4th. Up across the line, side by side into the infield they'll go, and Rapp will take over that 4th place position. Here is Stefano Mesa trying to go in on the outside, can't get it done. Steve Rapp has moved up to 4th. Danny Eslick, your race leader. Jeff May, number 99, in second. Then comes the 2 machine of Herron in third. Then 15, Steve Rapp in 4th. And then it is 11, Stefano Mesa in 5th. So a 5-rider breakaway. Then we've got another group of 7 riders in position 6 all the way through 12th position, working down through the fast left-hander. So incredible racing all the way through the field. And our focus of attention, this 5-way battle for the lead that right now has 3 former Daytona 200 champions up there and battling as they work out of the infield and head to the West Banking on lap number 23. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, that 7-rider pack back there for the rest of the top 12 is only about a second and 2/10 behind that front group, and if they start to really beat on each other, that's going to allow the riders behind them to close up. But right now they run basically single file and try to run down May down the back straightaway. Again, they'll shuffle the order as they go to the brakes into the chicane. Rapp trying to work his way ahead of Mason. Now he's on the tailpiece of the number 2 machine as they dive into the chicane. So that front 5-rider group still sort of a little accordion effect going on in the fast parts of the racetrack. They'll spread out almost a half-second wide, but when they hit the corners, they really tighten up. Off the banking they come back here toward the start-finish. Again, the draft starts to really pay big dividends. Into the headwind they go. The lead machine is just a sitting duck and will be blasted by the number 69 machine of Eslick, who retakes the lead in a draft slingshot maneuver. 3, 4, 5 riders in that lead pack. Then here comes that another 5-rider duel as they dive into turn number 1. Pat?
Bryce Prince is leading that second group of riders. Here's your front-running 5 into the International Horseshoe. Danny Eslick, number 69, will bring him onto the infield straightaway. Then it is Josh Herron on the number 2 machine in second. 99, Jeff May runs third. 15, Steve Rapp is 4th. Stefano Mesa, 11, 5th. They're going to come up on a slower rider down to that West Horseshoe as they try to go around the slower rider who goes a lap down. Then we've got the gap back to the fight for 6th all the way back through about 12th place. It is Bryce Prince, 174 on that tuned racing Yamaha in 6th. Bastian Skubik, 74, is running 7th. 8th is Eric Wood on the Kawasaki number 5. 9th is 31, Dustin Apgar, the Phoenix, Arizona rider. Ryan Christian, number 710, runs in 10th. 101, David Sadowski Jr. is in 11th. And then Carl Soltesz on the number 620 machine. I believe he's the last rider in that second pack of riders running here behind the lead machine as Danny Eslick continues to run out in front, and then the trailing riders there in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and it looks as though Prince is trying to make it a 6-way fight at the front. He's trying to catch the battle that's been going on here between Steve Rapp in 4th and Stefano Mesa, number 11, in the 5th place spot as they work off of turn number 4 of the Super Speedway. This is going to be lap number 24, about to go in the book side by side. Eslick and the number 2 machine of Josh Herron, and Herron will lead lap number 24 back into the infield. Eslick, 69, right there in 2nd. Then comes the 99 machine of Jeff May, then Steve Rapp, and then Stefano Mesa, 11, in that order as they run down here to the east end of the infield through the International Horseshoe. Josh Herron, number 2, the 2010 Daytona 200 champion, leading here on lap number 25.
Yeah, Pat, that time Eslick was leading and Herron was practicing his draft move, and sure enough, Eslick pushing his own wind out in front. All the group opened up a hole for Herron, who was able to put the slingshot pass together. I think there's a little experimentation going on between those top 5 machines as they work their way up the short chute back to the banking, just trying to find out.
Oh, Herron goes wide in turn number 6. Josh Herron just about put it on the ground. He's going to jump back on, but he's going to lose several positions. Herron with the lead going into turn number 6, overshot the corner, and now he's going to have to play catch-up. All of a sudden, it'll be Danny Eslick with the lead, Jeff May, 99, and Steve Rapp, number 15, and they've opened up a little bit of a cushion here, for the moment at least, on Stefano Mesa, who will reel him back into the chicane. So Josh Herron getting into turn number 6 a little bit hot. We'll see exactly where he has fallen. I believe back into that chasing group that was running with positions just inside of the top 10. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, that might actually help Prince catch this front group. If he and Herron can get hooked up together, that might actually help the both of them, because he's going to need some help to catch this front group. You can't do it on your own. We've seen that before. Here's Eslick leading the way. May right there, Rapp on his tail, and Mesa is in danger of being dropped off this group. There goes the rest of that pack chasing Bryce Prince with Stubik and Herron. So that's a good little 3-rider duel with Wood. Now Wood might be able to tag team. He has just moved up into the 8th place position. He might be able to catch the bus to this front group too, but they are still locked together there, just about a second and 2/10 behind the lead 4-rider pack that worked down to the fast left-hander. Pat?
Josh Herron right there in that 7th place position. He's going to try to get around Bastian Skubik on the number 74 machine as they work to that west horseshoe turn. He is closed right up on Skubik, number 74. Bryce Prince just ahead of him. That is a whale of a 3-way fight going on among those riders. Meanwhile, up ahead, the front-running quartet with Danny Eslick bringing them out of the infield to the west banking here on lap number 26. Then it is the 99 machine of Jeff May, and May gets a great drive off of that turn 2 area of the Super Speedway. Jeff May will take the lead. Here comes the 15 machine of Steve Rapp. He's going to move around Eslick to take over 2nd. Danny Eslick shuffled back into 3rd. Here's Eslick trying to take it back under braking, can't get it done. So Danny Eslick shuffled back here into that 3rd place position. Stefano Mesa on the number 11 machine sitting back there in 4th. So I'm not sure if Eslick has decided to just run back there and conserve his tires and motorcycle for the next little while. He was in the lead, but then got shuffled back into that 3rd place position. And again, they're going to come up on a slower rider. And 3 wide back to the line. Eslick up on the high side. He will move back around into that 2nd place position. Jeff May, your leader, back into the infield as they complete lap number 26. And right now, still the 19 riders running here on the lead lap of the 53 that started here back at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Rich?
Yeah, and that second trailing group is starting to actually make some headway in catching this four-way pack up front. Bryce Prince doing a good job on the Tuned Industries effort. He's being pushed by Heron and the whole rest of that group. In fact, the four rider, Stubik, is part of that as well as they battle up through there. Eric Wood also involved with that four-rider break that's trying to run down the front four-rider pack. Pat?
Josh Heron has moved up into the 5th place position, getting around Bryce Prince. He'll have to deal with a couple of slower riders there down in the West Horseshoe as he tries to run back up and catch the front-running quartet. And right now, Josh Heron, that last lap was a minute 51 and change. That is quicker than they're running at the front, where their last lap was at a minute 52. So Heron has still got a lot of ground to make up here, but he is running laps quicker than the riders up there in that lead pack. Off the end of the back straightaway, back into the chicane. 99, Jeff May running at the front. 69, Eslick in the second. Then comes the 15 machine of Steve Rapp, and then Stefano Mesa on the number 11 Yamaha machine. This 20-year-old out of Boca Raton, Florida, Stefano Mesa, has done a whale of a job here running with some of these far more experienced riders in this Daytona 200, and in fact, two of those three riders are former Daytona 200 champions. Rich?
Yeah, but he's better get going. He doesn't want to get dropped off the back of this group. In front, though, he's got the best seat in the house watching this three-rider scramble. There's Heron battling at it with Prince, and they are pushing each other. That's what it's going to take past a draft slingshot combination from those riders to gain time. I know Heron's going a little bit quicker, but he's going to have to continue that hard pace if he hopes to catch this front group. Again, he has made a little bit of ground up, but he still needs to really go. He had equal lap times with the front riders that last time and has not gained that much over the last lap or so, but that 151 he put in did a big chunk of the gap, and he is closing in ever so slightly the lead group up the short chute. Back to turn number 6, Pat.
And again, they've got a couple of slower riders ahead of them as they clear out of the infield. It is Jeff May, number 99, with the lead. Here is Eslick, 69. They'll go to the high side, going around those two riders in the west end of the Speedway, off of that west banking. Third place rider Steve Rapp is right there in third. Stefano Mesa, he's able to close up, Rich, through the infield, but he just seems to be down a little bit on the top end to the front running two riders into the chicane. It is Eslick, 69, who is back out in front as they continue to swap the lead all over the racetrack. And I don't know, we may be headed to a record number of lead changes into Daytona 200, Rich.
I've lost count.
The way they have been swapping it back and forth. Eslick, the leader, off of turn 4. Here comes the 99 machine of Jeff May. He will pull up alongside and blow by for the lead. Here comes Rapp, number 15. He'll go even higher on the high side. Can't get around. So back into the infield, it'll be May, number 99, Eslick, 69, and Rapp, number 15 in that order. Stefano Mesa, the best seat in the house to watch this three-rider war up front. And then it is Josh Heron on the number 2 machine back there in 5th, still trying to play catch-up. And he is bringing Bastian Skubik on the number 74 machine along with them. They're about 5 seconds back of the leader on the infield straightaway as they work past the fast left-hander here in the infield, working down to the West Horseshoe. And again, welcome aboard all of those who have joined us late here on fanschoice.tv. Coverage of this 2015 74th annual Daytona 200. We're working lap number 29 of the 57, so just past the halfway point. In fact, the crossed green and white flags are being shown here at the start-finish stripe, so just past the halfway point in the Daytona 200. Great to have you aboard as we continue to have a monumental battle up front. Jeff May, number 99, the pole sitter, 69, Danny Eslick, And number 15, Steve Rapper, right there. Stefano Mesa, the talented 20-year-old out of Boca Raton, Florida, trying to make it a four-way fight. Rich?
Well, I tell you, the gearing ain't too far off on the back straightaway. Eslick blows by May as they drive down into the chicane. Back behind him, looking at that chasing group. Herron in the 5th place position now, starting to see that he can see Mesa closing in on Mesa. He's got about a second and a half to make up. And the lap time, the last time, a 1:52.3, and that's a 0.2 of a second quicker than Mesa as they work their way back here toward the start-finish line. Eslick low on the wall. He will retake the lead as they come back to the start-finish line into turn number 1. Those 3 riders now really close together, and Mesa being caught quickly by the Shubik and the Heron machine as they dive back in the infield, and Boston Shubik, the Slovenian rider, tagging along with Heron, a bus ride to the front, courtesy of the number 2 Yamaha. Pat?
Richard, Josh Heron on that number 2. Mean Motorsports wheels in motion entry is closing. 4.3 seconds that time by. It was about 5 seconds a little earlier, so he is chipping away at the lead. Eslick, May, and Rapp continue to battle back and forth, and I think that's actually costing them some time on the racetrack. So as we work lap number 30, Danny Eslick is your leader as he'll try to get around one of the slower riders here in the turn 6 area as they go to the west banking. May, number 99, in second. Rapp 15 there in third. Fourth is 11, Stefano Mesa. 5th is number 2, Josh Heron. 6th is 74, Bastian Skubik. Then 174, Bryce Prince in 7th. 8th is the 5 machine of Eric Wood. 9th is 31, Dustin Apgar. In 10th is 710, Ryan Christian. 11th is 429, Sean Dwyer. In 12th is 683, Ryan Jones. 13th is 229, Darren James, the Canadian rider out of North Vancouver, British Columbia, on the Yamaha. He's having a pretty good run here. 119, George Latakis in 14th. 131, Christopher Knopf runs in 15th. Then 16th is Arthur Azanuran. And then Daniel Spalding back in the 17th place position. I believe might be the last rider here on the lead lap. Rich?
Steve Rapp takes a tour at the front of the 3-rider pack, and looking back behind him, Mesa now in danger of being caught by Stubik and Heron as they dive back into the infield as they work their way through traffic again. Some of the riders taking a little bit of an extra chance just to get by that rider and not get held up. Mesa has to almost get out of the gas as he has been caught now by Heron and Stubik. Maybe he'll tag team on with these guys and get back up there, but he has definitely been caught by Heron as they race through the fast left-hander. Pat?
And again, Eslick was able to get around the machine there of 99 Jeff May in the International Horseshoe as they accelerated out onto the infield straightaway. May running a little bit wide, and now as they come to the left-hand turn 6 here of the infield to go up to that 31-degree west banking, it'll be Eslick with the lead. But here comes May. He appears to have just the perfect gearing coming out of the infield, and he's been able to draft up on the 69 machine of Eslick as he's doing right now to within a bike length. He'll drop to the low side off of turn 2 of the Super Speedway. Jeff May has gone back around into the lead. 69 Eslick in second, then comes Rapp numbers 15 in third. But as they run it into the chicane, Danny Eslick is an absolute demon on the brakes. He's able to outbrake May and retake the lead as they go to the east banking. So they are swapping this lead all over the racetrack. Here comes May, picks up the draft once again on that old boat company Suzuki machine. He'll pull up alongside off of turn 4 of the Super Speedway, and Jeff May has gone back out in front. Appears to have a real good gearing. Richard coming back here to the line, and there goes Eslick. He will actually be officially the leader here at the end of lap number 31. So we're going to be looking at scheduled pit stops coming up somewhere around lap number 40. And it should be the final scheduled pit stop for these riders after that red flag that stopped the race for a while, and then they re-gridded. that that'll be the final stop. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, and now Herron and Stubik have caught Mesa. This 3x3 for the top 6, then another good little three-way scramble going on for positions in the top 10. All of these riders in the top 10 dealing with traffic as they work to the West Horseshoe, 3x3, and I think Herron is going to be able to get in contact with Mesa here very shortly. Again, they have done a whale of a job of chipping away at the lead, and now Pat is down to only a couple of seconds between the 3rd and 4th place position. Pat?
And I think Herron has in fact gone around Stefano Mesa up into that 4th place position. Mesa and Skubik, the 11 machine of Stefano Mesa, the 74 of Bastian Skubik, trying to close and come along with Josh Herron as he runs down the front-running trio that are about to peel off into the chicane. This time, Jeff May will lead them in a chicane. Danny Eslick had a notion, but elects to back off as they clear out of the chicane. Eslick takes a quick look over his right shoulder and now drafts right up onto the May machine. Steve Rapp, number 15, right there in 3rd. And they are watching that advantage that they had was about 5 seconds on Josh Herron. It's only down to about 2 seconds right now. And again, they're going to stack it side by side here for the lead as they come to the line to put lap number 32 up on the board. And that will go to Eslick, number 69, who again will outbreak them going back into the infield. But again, that margin back to the riders running in 4th, 5th, and 6th continues to shrink. And very shortly, Richard, we're going to have 6 riders up in that lead pack. There is a pass back into turn number 3 here, the infield, the International Horseshoe, as Josh Herron had gotten back around Bastian Skubik, who was actually 4th across the line here at the end of lap number 32. So they are reeling in the front-running 3 riders. We're going to have 6 riders going at it, and now there is a red flag.
Waving yellow flag. Pat, oh no. Oh, problem. Waving yellow flags all around the racetrack. Oh, goodness.
So red flags out here at the line as the riders, we're going to go to yet another restart. We'll check to see exactly where the problem might be here in the infield. One of the ambulances making its way from the east end of the infield, so a problem here on the race course. And for the second time here this afternoon, we go to the red flag as we attend to the situation. We'll try to get identification on the rider, but again, they're going to have to revert back to the running order based on the last fully completed lap for the field. That might be either laps 31 or 32, and then base the starting grid on that, as we will be going to a complete restart. And again,
yeah, Pat, and you know what this means is they're going to have to do a splash and go. Even if they fill the tank up right now, they're still going to be short about 4 laps. Oh, that's just a splash and go, but still that means that they can't plan. How could you plan on doing the 26 laps, 27 laps? I don't think it's possible. I think they'll have to go with the full tank here during this stop, and then at least another splash and go here to get this thing taken care of. And again, what a big break for Josh Herron and Stubik, who had fought their way up and almost caught that front group. In fact, it was just a half lap away from being a 6-rider pack for the lead. So again, just getting everything organized, and we'll get your report on the number of that rider that had the problem here in just a couple of minutes. But again, just a stoppage in the action. We'll give everybody a chance to reload, refuel. I'm sure there'll be fresh rubber on these tires, even though they only had about 12 laps on them when they actually had the problem on the racetrack and had to pull the plug. But again here, wow, what a race, Matt.
Daytona, man, don't get better than this.
Or that we had a situation that demanded such intense attention. So again, we'll get everybody on pit road and get everything organized and reloaded here. But again, they will have to generate another grid that will reflect, of course, the running order, probably lap 31, and everybody completed 31. I think everybody had completed 31 or the majority of the field. We'll just have to wait and see. Pat?
Rich, the problem is down there in the west horseshoe turn, as right now we showed a total of 17 riders on the lead lap. 17 riders had completed a total of 31 laps. As we prepare to go here for the restart, looking on the fanschoice.tv, Steve Rapp's machine being worked on here on pit road. But again, the problem was up there in the west horseshoe turn, catching out one of our riders and bringing out our second red flag here of the afternoon. Let's give you a rundown as we have it here at the moment. Well, we've got a moment. Danny Eslick, the leader, as they completed lap number 31. Jeff May right behind in second, Steve Rapp third, and then we had that chasing trio of Josh Herron, number 2, who incidentally does have the fastest lap of the race, a minute 51.207. The fastest lap of the race belongs to Josh Herron. Then in fifth was 11 Stefano Mesa, sixth Bastian Skubik on the Yamaha, the talented 40-year-old out of Slovenia. Then 174 Bryce Prince in seventh. Eighth was Eric Wood, number 5 on that Woodcraft Penguin Road Racing School Kawasaki.
It's good. It's really very long range. We're not even halfway done, and I'm already exhausted. And we're doing good.
In 13th, number 710 Ryan Christian in 14th, 131 Christopher Knopf in 15th, Daniel Spalding on the 411 machine sitting in 16th, and then unofficially the last rider who was being scored there on the lead lap was the number 332 machine, Arthur Azanovurian. So the rider who fell over there in the West Horseshoe turn was the number 8 machine of Seth Starnes. Had been running one lap down to the lead lap riders. So Starnes, number 8, putting it on the ground over there at the West Horseshoe turn. As soon as they get things all squared away over there, we'll be set to go with the restart. As we've got, looks like a total of 31 laps completed. That'll mean it'll be 26 laps to go here, Rich, on the restart to get to our 200-mile distance. I don't know, you'll be really pushing the fuel limit, trying to get 26 laps out of one of these inline 4-cylinder machines. Maybe a couple of the other brands might be able to go that far, but I think you're going to have some kind of a splash and go in order to make it here to the end of 57 laps. Let's go back on pit road, check in with Richard Chambers. As for the second time here this afternoon in the Daytona 200, we come up with a red flag situation. Riders and crews patiently waiting here on pit road as they assemble a starting grid for the restart. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, I'm trying to find the Ashmead pit area if it's still running. Of course, he has obviously taken the mileage thing, but I can't find him here on pit lane. I'll have to get back to you, Pat.
And again, looking at that rundown, John Ashmead not being shown anywhere inside of the top 30. So again, enough laps, pretty close, where he would be very, very close to taking over the all-time mileage lead here at Daytona. But based on what we saw before that red flag, it looks like there should be 6. Maybe Bryce Prince and Eric Wood might be able to get up there and make it a 7 or 8 rider battle up front, as we've got 26 laps to go in this Daytona 200. We've seen some incredible racing throughout, multi-rider battles at the front and elsewhere inside of the top 10 and in the top 20. And you sort of gathered that that would be the complexion of the race, just looking at how close practice and qualifying was here at the Speedway, going back to Thursday when these riders got in a couple of 50-minute practice sessions. Eric Wood topped the first of those here on Thursday afternoon. Jeff May was quickest in the second of the practice sessions, and of course that led him to a big day of qualifying here yesterday, where Jeff May took the Arai Pole Award with that lap at 1:50.636 by 5/1000ths of a second over Josh Herron. And Herron does have the fastest lap in the race here, 1:51.207. There are a number of other of the top riders there who have also been able to put 1:51 lap times up, including Eric Wood with a 1:51, as has Danny Eslick, Jeff May, Steve Rapp, Josh Herron we mentioned, and also Stefano Mesa. His best lap is 1:51.793. And Boston Skubik also capable of turning 1:51. So probably at least a 6, maybe a 7 or 8 rider battle, Richard, is what we're going to be looking at coming up to the restart. Rich?
Yeah, let's jump in here. Boston Skubik, you led the Daytona 200, buddy.
Yeah. You know, I'm really happy to be able to run with the front guys. It's a big day for me, you know, but we're starting from 0, really.
Well, you're doing 52s. That's what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I can keep with the front guys, no problem. If I've got some draft on the banks, that's okay. If I don't make any mistake in the infield, that's okay. It's pretty good. But again, it's very hard because everything what we gain, it's gone. We are starting from 0.
All right, well, buddy, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Can you do 26 laps on a tank of fuel?
No, unfortunately. If some other guys listen to me, maybe, yeah, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Go ahead, run it out of gas, right? Boston Stubik here. Yeah, guys, we can make it. You guys try it too. Okay, go ahead. Pat, back to the tower, Pat. Hey, what? Before we leave here, let's jump in and have a word with the. Don't step in that. That might be wet. Okay. All right. Stefano Mesa, buddy, you kind of dropped you off that lead group, and then Herron got with you, and you guys started picking the pace up.
Yeah, I mean, the front 3 people just pulled away a little bit on me. I just kind of know I couldn't get the draft, so I kind of slowed down a little bit to see if Herron will catch up a little bit faster. And he did, and I got down to pace with him again, and before the red flag, we were right there, so hopefully we can give something to them.
I saw him grabbing a new fresh tire for you. You're going to put a fresh rubber on it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy, you go have a good ride.
Thank you.
What a great young little rider out of Boca Raton, Florida. As the West Side Performance crew, give him a big round of applause here. Pat, we're waiting for the grid to be generated. We'll try to jump in and have some words with some of our other riders. Pat?
Of course, tomorrow another big day of racing here at Daytona International Speedway. If you're tuning us in here on fanschoice.tv and you're in the Central Florida area, we've got some 15 5-lap championship Cup Series sprint races. We'll be on the racetrack here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning with the first of the practice sessions. The first of those 15 races will go at 10 o'clock. Following our opening ceremonies here at Daytona International Speedway. It really has been a marvelous 2015 Daytona 200 Motorcycle Week. As we said a week ago here at Daytona on Saturday night under the lights, a tremendous Daytona Supercross by Honda. Then all of the amateur supercross riders from across the United States, some Canadian riders down here for the Daytona amateur supercross. Ricky Carmichael, who's been organizing that for a bunch of years, and then on into this big 4 days of road racing here at Daytona. Let's go back on pit road. Rich Chambers.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Let's check in at the Wood homestead here. How's the family doing?
We're doing just fine, Richard. We're out there hanging in there, trying to make the best of these of all these red flags. You know what I mean? We're going to get out there and jump up with the pack, try and get sucked along for a while and see how it shakes out. You know, it's there isn't any of us here that have tanks big enough to make it, so there's going to be a whole last round of pit stops. It's going to be interesting.
Very interesting. Splash and go, eh?
Yeah, that's going to be our strategy. We're going to come in, you know, get a few gallons and finish off the race and go out and slide around on an old tire.
Now, well, you've been right there, but just a little bit off. Is there something you can do to make up for that?
Yeah, I can twist the right wrist harder. You know, that's about where we're at. I gotta get myself together when we get 9 or 10 laps in. I can hang on in the first part of the stint, and I got to get my act together for that second half. So we're gonna get that done. I'm gonna think about that right now.
All right, he's thinking about it here along pit lane, Pat. We'll send it back to the tower.
And so they are assembling that starting grid that will put them out here, hopefully for a 26-lap run to the checkered flag to wrap up this 74th Daytona 200. As we said, Rich, coming here every year, we think back to some of the tremendously memorable events that have taken place over the decades here at Daytona International Speedway. Of course, Danny Eslick would be looking for his second Daytona 200 win, as would be the case with Steve Rapp and Josh Herron. The record for the Daytona 200, of course, is shared by Miguel Duhamel and Scott Russell. Hopefully both of those gentlemen listening in and watching in on fanschoice.tv here this afternoon as the activities here on pit road continue. And I tell you, we are going to be in for quite a final lap here at Daytona, Rich, based on what we've seen so far with all of the passing and lead changes that have been taking place. These machines and riders are so equally matched.
Yeah, Pat, and that's only the lead changes there at start finish. I counted laps where we changed the lead at least 4 or 5 times during the actual lap. That doesn't count the change in the lead here at the stripe. So, wow, this is just a mad scramble. And again, I think I agree with Eric Wood. Nobody can make it. Nobody's got a tank big enough to make this final run to the checkered flag. It's just almost an impossibility to get 26 laps out of a tank of fuel. So I'm sure it's going to be a mad dash, stop and go, dash and splash here along pit lane somewhere during this run. And again, you don't want to give up your position in that freight train. If you get on the bus that's running up front, you're just going to have to bide your time and pick a perfect moment to jump off and grab some fuel and then get back out there. Pat, the grid has been sent through our officials, our ASRA officials, distributing the grid up and down pit lane. We should be getting shortly ready to go.
So again, within a couple of minutes or so, we should see the activities there start to pick up on pit road as we prepare for this restart. 31 laps completed for the riders on the lead lap. 18th in the rundown at the moment, Bruno Silva. He is a lap down. Armando Ferrer on the number 6 machine inside of the top 20, but a lap down. And then the rider who brought out the red flag here, Seth Starnes, putting it on the ground over there in the West Horseshoe turn. Again, if you've joined us late here at Daytona International Speedway or online on fanschoice.tv, Pat Gonzalez in the tower, Richard Chambers, the other voice you're hearing on our public address broadcast here at Daytona International Speedway. It's been 3 outstanding days here of the road race portion of Daytona 200 Motorcycle Week here at the Speedway. As we said, another big day of racing coming up tomorrow with the first of those 15 five-lap Championship Cup Series sprint races going at a little bit after 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. A number of the riders who are running here in the Daytona 200 will be running in some of those Championship Cup Series expert sprint races that do kick off here tomorrow morning at Daytona International Speedway. Let's go back on pit road for an update from Richard Chambers.
Yeah, Pat, I think you're very right. Very shortly, we will see the riders start to get in position, and there they go out onto the racetrack for the warm-up lap. They'll come back here to the stripe lineup, and we will go for 26 laps remaining here in the 74th running of this Daytona 200. While we've got a moment, I'd like to send out a big hello and welcome to all of our fans and friends and around the country. Laurel in Hollywood, I love you, girl, and I hope you're enjoying the race, and all the rest of you fans, I love you for tuning in to fanschoice.tv and enjoying this Daytona 200 that's coming to you live from Daytona Beach, Florida. Pat?
Well, Rich, we get to come back here in October to Daytona for the fall cycle scene races, the Championship Cup Series. We'll be back here for their Race of Champions, the American Sport Bike Racing Association that ran 3 championship finals this morning. We'll also be back here, as well as the American Historic Racing Motorcycle Association. All of the various vintage and historic cup races will run here October 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th at Daytona International Speedway. One of the riders having a bit of a problem down at the far end of pit road. They pushed the motorcycle and it just would not fire. Right now they're having a conversation with this rider, trying to figure out exactly what the problem is. But right now that bike is just off to the side, Rich, by the pit wall, just beyond the far west end of pit road. So they're going to have to get that fixed up here in a big hurry in order to make the start. Riders out on their warm-up lap. The 5 board that was being shown to the field is now switched over to 4. As soon as those riders come back, they will be quickly going to the 3 board. Right now, checking Jason Farrell, just updating the Oshkosh, Wisconsin rider on that Farrell Performance Kawasaki. Had the fall earlier in the race down in that west horseshoe turn. He is in 37th position, Richard, so they're just going to try to battle back here and pick up as many spots as they can, because the further up the running order they can finish, that'll mean a little bit more of the $175,000 in purse money that is available for the riders here this afternoon. But full marks there to Farrell Performance. After putting it on the ground, they made the repairs to the Kawasaki, and he has come out here and run and trying to finish as high up as he possibly can. Did lead the race for a brief portion earlier in the afternoon, but then that unfortunate crash there in the west horseshoe turn. Motorcycles returning to pit road. The countdown board now moves down to 3, and it'll be Danny Eslick on the pole, Jeff May alongside Steve Rapp third, and then the second row will have Josh Herron on the number 2 Mean Motorsports and Wheels in Motion R6 Yamaha. The middle of the second row, 11 Stefano Mesa on the Yamaha, and then Bastian Skubik, number 74, will start outside of that second row. Row 3 will have 174 Bryce Prince on the Tuned Racing Yamaha, the number 5 Kawasaki of Eric Wood, and then the number 31 machine of Dustin Apgar. The fourth row, 429 Sean Dwyer, number 683 Ryan Jones on the Honda, and then Darren James, North Vancouver, British Columbia rider on the Ruthless Racing Dealey Harley-Davidson sponsored entry, as he will go from the outside of row number 4. Rich?
Oh, sorry, Pat, I don't have a copy of the grid sheet. You'll have to get through it, but we're almost ready for the start. The 3 board up on the field now. And all the rows, let's see, last rows clicking into position. Here's one last rider rolling up to get into position. I think this is the final of our riders. And again, they will go in one single wave Up on the front row, Danny Eslick, the Old Boat Company Suzuki, sitting and waiting 3 minutes, or the 3-minute board up on the field. Clipboards now go up in the air. 2 board goes up. Just about ready for the start, Pat. There it is, the restart of the Daytona 200. Off into turn number 1. From the second position, May grabs the whole shot. He'll hold the lead as they go to turn 1. Pat?
Jeff May grabs the whole shot here as Eslick, number 69, parked right on his rear tire. Here's Eslick as they run into the International Horseshoe, takes a look down on the inside. Jeff May will shut the door, at least for the moment. He runs a little bit wide. Eslick comes up underneath, and they're a bike length apart down the infield straightaway. Jeff May, number 99, and Danny Eslick, 69, battling through the fast left-hander to the West Horseshoe on this opening lap. There goes Eslick. He'll try to stuff it down on the inside, and he gets the lead. Danny Eslick, the Broken Arrow, Oklahoma rider, last year's Daytona 200 champion, has gone back out in front. Here is May, number 99, running in that second place position. Up into third is Josh Herron on the number 2 machine, and then I believe it's Steve Rapp, 15, holding on to the 4th place spot. Rich?
Oh, yes, Pat. Oh, what a mad scramble going on back behind these two. They're trying to make a breakaway. May side by side with Eslick. They've got about 15, 20 bike lengths on the rest of that herd that try to get organized. A change in third place behind them, but Eslick and May got going real good. Into the chicane they come. Again, the accordion will tighten up, and this time it's got about 12 motorcycles in it. Prince is right there in the middle of it. Stefano Mesa, along with Herron, and the whole rest of that group shuffle their way into and out of the chicane here on lap number 32. Pat?
It'll be 32 in the books next time by, and we'll have some 25 to go here in the Daytona 200. Side-by-side battle for the lead, coming back to the line here. Who will be the leader at the end of lap number 32? It is Eslick, followed by May, and then a side-by-side battle going on for that 3rd place position. Steve Rapp will take over 3rd. Josh Herron, number 2, drops to 4th. Bastian Skubik, number 74, in the 5th place position, and then 6th is Eric Wood on the Kawasaki. So a good run up here into 6th by Eric Wood as they work through the International Horseshoe and out onto the infield straightaway. But it is Eslick at the front end of that freight train of Daytona 200 machines as they work on the north end of Lake Lloyd on that infield straightaway through the fast left-hander and down to the West Horseshoe as Eslick continues to lead it.
Yeah, Pat, in that whole front group, 2, 4, 6, 8 machines have really tightened up. Actually, it's 7 machines and a little bit of a gap back to 3 by 3, and then the rest of that front 20 bike pack as they work to the left-hander. Again, Eslick, real daring on the brakes, making up for whatever little horsepower that he is missing from the Yamahas. But again, side by side, a draft slingshot pass for the lead as they change it again, Pat. And I really wish we could have counted the total number of lead changes all around the track during this event. It has been unbelievable racing. Into the chicane we go here on lap number 33. Pat?
Well, it looks like there's 6 riders now up in that lead pack, although the 6th place rider, Eric Wood, has got a little bit of catch up to do. But right now they work off of turn number 3, heading up into 4. Side-by-side battle again between Eslick and Jeff May. And then just a little bit of a gap back to the 15 machine of Steve Rapp and number 2, Josh Herron. As here comes the number 2 machine of Herron up on the high side, and it'll be May by just a split second. Boston Skubik, number 5, is right there, and then it is the number 174 machine of Bryce Prince, who is trying to come up here and make it a 6-way fight. But for the moment, Boston Skubik, the rider from Slovenia, has been able to join Jeff May, Josh Herron, Steve Rapp, and Danny Eslick on the infield straightaway. Eslick back into second as Herron goes back into the lead. Jeff May, number 99, running in 3rd, and then it is 15, Steve Rapp in 4th, and then Boston Skubik, number 74. He was 9th in the Daytona 200 a year ago. I believe that was his 2nd top 10 finish, but he is turning in a whale of a ride here, Rich, as they go side by side now for the lead, heading into the left-hander at turn number 5. Eslick with the lead. The second and third place machines tightening right up as they exit out of the infield and go to the west banking.
Now, Pat, we were talking to Stuvik during a little bit of a break. He said he needs a draft. He needs a dance partner to get up there. And I was just watching as Herron came up behind May and Eslick, and he got the double draft off of both of those machines and was able to drive by and almost take the lead. Oh, another challenge for the lead into the chicane. They have tightened it up desperately at the front of the field, Pat.
Eslick back out in front. Danny Eslick puts that number 69 white and yellow old Boat Company machine back out in front. Herron into second. May, number 99, runs third. Steve Rapp sitting there in the fourth place spot. And now as they have picked up the pace here, Rich, that has broken away from the fifth place rider, has have his problems trying to close it back up, but he's right there again, up across the stripe. Then a bit of a gap back to Bryce Prince, and then an even bigger gap back to the number 5 machine. Let's check it there. Eric Wood, looks like Wood is dropped out of the top 10, so he may have a problem out there on the racetrack. He may have crashed out of this one. Right now, the lead pack through the International Horseshoe Turn and back out on the infield straightaway. It is Jeff May, number 99, running at the point. Eslick, 69, in second, followed by Josh Herron in third, and then fourth, fifth, and sixth. And the 174 machine, this young rider, Bryce Prince, has made his way back up into that sixth place position. But Rich, once again, red flags out here, the yellow and red flags out in the Daytona 200. So now, with a total of 34 laps completed, that means only 23 laps to the end of the 200 miles. And I think with a full tank of fuel, you should be able to go the rest of the way.
That is so tempting. Oh, now we're going to have to count exactly how many laps they have counted. Let's see, 34 laps. So they're probably going to go back to the last completed 33. Oh, man, that's a lot of laps here at Daytona. You know, this place eats motorcycles, it eats tires, and it burns gas like no other racetrack in the world. You run a motorcycle or a car, whatever, around this racetrack and just let it eat on the wall. It just really soaks the gas right out of it, fighting the gravity, the extra G's on the banking. That's just a banked dyno that just sucks these motorcycles and tires right off of the motorcycle. It's just amazing the durability that they have built into these bikes to be able to live with this place. I remember I came to Daytona a long time ago. First time I saw these 31-degree banks, I went, wow, you mean you have to race up there? Oh, well, that's interesting. And you know, the first time they came here from the beach way back in, like 1965 or something, they didn't even run the bankings. They were so scary, they decided to run this infield course. In fact, I found a patch online that showed the old course that they used to use that only used a little bitty tiny portion of the actual Speedway banking, but it used like this intricate infield circuit that went down inside of turn 3, made a turn, came back, turned, and then came back on the front tri-oval down here just about halfway between turn 4 and the start-finish line. And then they decided to put it on the banking and see what would go on up there. And in the first years, they used to qualify by just running the motorcycles around the banking, Pat. They didn't even use the road course. They would just run them all the way around the tri-oval, and that was your qualifying time. I remember them putting 2 front tires on a Triumph Triple and putting David Aldana on it. They pumped the tires up to 60 PSI, and he actually qualified around the whole racetrack at just under 150 miles an hour. That was a long time ago. Of course, then they decided to use the infield portion of the course to actually qualify. For a time, some of the classes were qualified by heat races to actually determine the starting positions and what have you. But with the advent of scoring and computer scoring, Pat, I remember you and I doing races here at Daytona where we were actually doing our own hand scoring right over top of the grid sheet, or you had some great people up there in the tower, some eagle eye people, I might add, that were just fabulous at picking out the numbers. Of course, the number plates were a little bit bigger back then, Pat, and I guess my eyes are getting worse as years progress, but now the number plates have shrunk dramatically, and you got to depend on the color combinations of the bike, the helmet color, the leather color, and it's all kind of just, figure out what you can tell somebody by and then live with it. You can't see numbers anymore. It is just impossible with the new fairings and the new tail pieces they've built onto these things. It is just, if you don't get a good straight on look right at the motorcycle, you can't see the tailpiece because they're always bent over in the corner, and there's no number plate on the side of the bike. That's where it used to be, a great big 10 by 12 signboard on the side of the bike saying this is me, but that doesn't happen anymore. We have the transponder scoring. Of course, they do have a backup scoring, a physical scoring folks who are down there at the start finish line right adjacent to where the starter and his assistant deal with the flags that are shown to the riders as they work their way around. But it is still the future marches on, and now with the advent of scoring and TV, hey, the TV, wow, fanschoice.tv around the world, bringing the racing to people all around the world, the United States, Canada, North and South America, Europe, wherever you are. Fans Choice TV gets you right in the heart of the action. If you're enjoying today's presentation, what you should do is call them up or email them. Oh, that's it. Maybe even tweet them or something. We love fanschoice.tv. It's just a good way that you can say thanks and let them know that you appreciate what they're doing for us motorcycle nuts here at Daytona. Pat?
Rich, the red flag here, a result of a crash in turn 6 by the Phoenix, Arizona rider, Dustin Apgar, had started back on the middle of row 6. In the 17th starting position, had been running, I believe, inside of the top 20 for sure, maybe getting even closer to a top 10 running position, and then put it on the ground here in turn number 6. He'll be taken to the infield care center for further treatment and examination, but right now they're just putting the grid sheets together for what will hopefully be our final restart of this 74th Daytona 200. We've had a multitude of different leaders, so many lead changes over the 33 laps that have been completed so far. And at the moment, we show 14 riders running on the lead lap. So as they revert back to lap 33, Jeff May was your leader. Second place rider was Josh Herron. Steve Rapp, Danny Eslick, then the Boston Skubik machine in the 5th place position, Bryce Prince in 6th. 7th is number 710, Ryan Christian. 8th is the Honda rider, Ryan Jones, number 683, Sean Dwyer, 429 in 9th. And then rounding out the top 10, Darren James on that Ruthless Racing Yamaha machine. So just waiting for the final grid sheets to be put together, and then we'll have a 24 lap restart. Some of these riders, Rich, may roll the dice and figure you can get 24 laps in and get to the checkered flag. Others may not be willing to roll the dice and come on a pit road here for a quick splash of fuel, but they would have calculated the fuel consumption on these machines, and you know what, if it's pretty close, it might be worth the roll of the dice. We'll see.
Yeah, how about a ride by Darren James, Ruthless Racing. We talked to him yesterday in Victory Lane, or no, earlier this morning actually, during the Thunderbike main event, but coming all the way from Vancouver, almost 6,000 miles one way. Now, Pat, that is wanting to go road racing, but hey, coming to Daytona, it's worth it. If you had to drive 20,000 miles, it'd still be worth it. This place is like the heart and soul of racing here in the United States. It started right here a long time ago. They made this Speedway in '65. They built the racetrack that I remember with no chicane, Pat. Down that back straightaway, you just laid on the gas tank and let it sing. Then they put the chicane in because the speeds were starting to really inch up. The old International Horseshoe was quite a thrill to race. I remember when they used to have the international flags that circled the inside of the International Horseshoe. That's how it got its name, obviously. Of course, the old days of the motocross that used to be run in the actual infield portion of the racetrack with jumps across the drainage trenches, and actually you had to cross the Armco barriers in certain places to complete the motocross course. And then as that evolved, they moved the motocross course over to the tri-oval area and built in some fabulous courses. I remember Dr. Bailey and his preparation of the courses there over a number of years. Now Ricky Carmichael has taken on the mantle of designing the motocross course for the riders. Of course, motocross bikes have changed just like these road race bikes have changed, and now just technology and travel and suspension beyond belief. I remember when I raced my old Bultaco Sherpa 175 here, it was the big anthill, a big 9-foot anthill that ended up putting me out of the race in one year. The other year I threw it over backwards, going off across one of the jumps, and threw it down on the ground. But it has evolved to now a tremendous spectacular here that you've got to see. Next year, you got to make your plans to come back here and see the Supercross by Honda. You can go ahead and start making your plans. They had a wonderful crowd here this year, and it just really kicked off this bike week real strong here. The 200 week at Daytona is always a thrill. And now, Pat, with all of the various amenities that have been added, the Daytona Rising, oh my goodness, look at that thing. It is just unbelievable what they're doing to this racetrack. I said yesterday, I remember the old open grandstands with the blue Daytona sign and the announce booth way up on top. Well, that went away a long time ago, but it's changing and changing and then changing again, Pat. Nothing remains the same, and I'm really glad to have been here and been part of watching the changes that have happened here at this wonderful racetrack. Pat? Along pit road, the crews, fresh tires. I saw a bunch of the crews rushing down to get fresh rubber mounted during that last break. Well, with only a couple of laps, you're not going to really mount a fresh tire, and unless you were really using a soft rubber thing. But again, up and down pit lane, a lot of work going on. The crew there in the number 5 pit, checking over their machine, Eric Wood, and the family looking over the machine. Of course, his father, Jerry Wood, his son, a crew chief, his mechanics from up at Woodcraft. And hey, if you want a sport bike and you want to update the rear sets or add some sliders on the side of the bike or any of the other little knickknacks, heavy duty cases and all kind of good stuff, check out Woodcraft. You can look at Road Racing World and check out their beautiful ad and their stuff. It looks like motorcycle jewelry, and I'm sure going to dress up your motorcycle. That's Woodcraft, making a fabulous line of aftermarket clip-ons, foot pegs, and all kind of good things for the motorcycle. He and his entire Woodcraft Craft crew and family are down here this race weekend, and every time we get a little break like this, it gives him a chance to get a little bit of a okay, I'm getting a little closer, getting closer to the front. But I agree with him, Pat. We're even back when he said it, that nobody's got a gas tank that big. Well, 8 miles of gas here at Daytona, that's probably only about, I'd say about a quart and a half of gas. I don't know if gas tanks could hold just that much extra. If they do, they're going to coast across start finish on fumes if they're lucky enough to get there.
Well, Rich, the number 5 machine of Eric Wood, who's been running pretty much inside of the top 10 throughout the afternoon. I think he did put it on the ground. They were making repairs there along pit road. He's currently being shown all the way down in 15th position, the first rider off of the lead lap. There are a total of 14 riders on the lead lap who have completed 33 circuits of this 3.51 mile track. So when they line up here for what will hopefully be the final restart, it'll be Jeff May, number 99, on the pole position, the 2 machine of Josh Herron alongside 15 Steve Rapp, who will start 3rd across that row, and then Danny Eslick, 69, will go inside row 2. Bastian Skubik, number 74, the middle of the 2nd row in the 5th starting position, and then Bryce Prince, 174, who has really come into his own this year. Great ride for this Yamaha-mounted rider as he will go outside of that 2nd row. The 3rd row will have the 710 machine, Ryan Christian. Then Ryan Jones on the Honda, number 683. And then the rider on the outside of that 3rd row will be Sean Dwyer. The 4th row will have 229 Darren James on the Yamaha, number 119 George Latakis. And then Daniel Spalding will start in the 12th place position outside row 4. And then row 5 will have Arthur Azanunuran, number 332, 131 Christopher Knopf, and then the first rider off of that lead lap should be Eric Wood, who will start outside of row 5. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, up and down pit lane. The riders are getting prepared. The helmets, gloves going on. Crews peeling off the tire warmers, and we should be close to the restart or warm-up lap. Now, here's a question. Would you forego the warm-up lap to further your chances to be able to make the run to the finish, Pat?
Well, indeed, as we look here, but you also want to be able to get some heat in the tires. The 5 board is being shown to the field. The riders heading off on their warm-up lap. We'll see if anybody elects to go with that kind of strategy, Rich. Of course, you're just cruising around the racetrack here. You are going to use some fuel. But I'm sure those teams that would have made their calculations going back to the practice sessions on Thursday will know whether or not they can race for 24 laps and have enough fuel that they will be able to go the entire distance without coming on a pit road for a splash of fuel. Right now, the first of the riders clearing out of the infield, heading up to the west banking, 24 laps, 57 the original scheduled distance to get to the 200 miles. We've got 33 in the books for the 14 riders who are on the lead lap. And then in that 24 laps, Rich, I think it's going to be pretty hard for any of these riders to who are off of the lead lap to be able to get back on there now. I think that's almost an impossibility. Let's take you a little bit further back. We gave you the number 5 machine of Eric Wood in 15th. He is a lap down. The 31 machine that crashed over here in turn 6 looks like he'll be a non-starter. Bruno Silva would move up to 16th. 17th would be Armando Ferrer. He is also a lap down. Fernando Silva on the 4 machine would be an 18th. 19th will be the Florida rider on the Triumph, Alan Slaney, number 9 in 19th. And then in the 20th position will be Christian Crossland on the number 409 machine. And then 21st will be Anthony Fania. And Rich, when we checked on where John Ashmead was, he was back in about the 34th, 35th, maybe 35th position. So we'll see whether or not Ashmead has got enough laps and mileage that he'll be able to get ahead of Ricky Orlando for that all-time Daytona 200 mileage record.
Yeah, Pat, I was interested in how many laps he had completed. I don't have a list that I can get down to.
Rob.
We'll try to figure that out before the end of the day here. Motorcycles start to roll back into position. Now, I tell you, Danny Eslick, now they know exactly how much gas they had in their dump can when he came in after 20 laps, and he refueled the tank and got it completely full. And if they measured the amount of gas that was still in the quick fill, that would tell them exactly how much gas he had used in 20 laps. If you know what I mean, you can make an informed calculation from that about exactly how close he could run it and still make it. But still, Pat, I agree with you. Boy, what a long shot to try to give up a good finishing position just to make a run at it. Who knows, though? We'll have to wait and see. Motorcycles roll back into position there up on the front row. The number 99 machine, Jeff May, the Project Mayday, put this thing together with support from his fans. And he even said, when I asked him about it, he said a number of the fans who had supported him had come up and met him and were looking for their names and finding their names on the motorcycle. He has all of his supporters' names on the bike. So now as we count it down, field in position, clipboards go up in the air. We're just about ready to go racing. Pat?
Looking at that front row, Rich, I do not see the Steve Rapp machine in position. So Rapp missing from the outside of row one. As the entire second row in position, Eslick number 69 is going to come off the inside of that second row. So I'll try to get an update as to what's happened with Steve Rapp. He's certainly not up in position unless he got back here late, and they've got him at the back of the grid as the three board being shown to the field. Still holding on the three board.
Yeah, riders are looking around saying, "What's up, Cap? Let's go."
There is a motorcycle that's been pushed off down at the far end of pit road.
Okay, Pat, there it is. 1 minute board sideways, quick green. We're back underway from the pole position. May drills the start, gets a great launch. Herron is right there with him, Pat.
And they stack it 3-4 wide into turn number one. That time they used the green flag to get this one underway as they charge to the International Horseshoe turn. Jeff May, number 99, with the lead. Into second is Herron. New third place rider coming up underneath is the Eslick machine, and he'll go side by side with Herron on the infield straightaway down to the fast left-hander. So they pick up right where they left off. We'll try to get an update there.
Pat, one rider going into turn three got wide. I didn't get a number, but it looked a lot like the Stefano Mesa Leathers. We'll have to wait and see. But one rider missed the corner there in turn three, but he gets it back on. Pat?
They work out of the infield, heading up to the west banking here on lap number 34. With 24 laps remaining in this Daytona 200. The front running four riders again have broken clear of the rest of the pack. We've got another chasing group of about 6 for positions inside of the top 10. They peel off of turn number 2 of the Super Speedway, and now the run down the back straightaway. Jeff May, number 99, followed by the Eslick machine, I believe has gone around into that second place position. He has, and then Josh Herron on the number 2 machine running there in third. So the riders up there in that front part of the field peeling off here. It's a three-way battle for the lead early. We'll see if any of the other riders in that chasing pack are able to come up here and make it more than a three-rider fight as they work back to the tri-oval to complete lap number 34. Your race leader is the number 99 machine of Jeff May, then Eslick in second, and then Herron on the number 2 machine in third. Bryce Prince, 174, is now fourth. Ryan Christian on the number 710 machine. Up into 5th, Ryan Jones, 683 in 6th. Then Sean Dwyer, George Latakis, 9th is Darren James, and Christopher Knopf, number 131, is there in the 10th place spot.
Yeah, Pat, they shovel through turn 3, and again, their race leader, May, but he's being caught in short order by the number 69 and number 2 machines. That top 3 have broken clear from the next 3-rider pack that fills in the rest of the top 10 there in short order, but the top 3 have broken clear. Here comes Eslick with a challenge for the lead. He can't quite do it. He'll drop in right behind May, the leader. Pat?
Again, still a question mark as to what happened to the number 15 machine of Steve Rapp, our 2007 Daytona 200 winner. Did not make the start. Maybe a problem with the machine in between the red flag and the restart as the front-running 3 riders rocket off at turn number 2 of the Super Speedway. May, number 99, on the Yamaha, as is Herron, number 2, and then Eslick on that GSXR 600 old boat company Suzuki, sandwiched in between those 2 Yamaha machines. And then just a little bit of a gap back to the 4th place rider. I believe that is Bryce Prince on the number 174 machine. Then Ryan Christian, 5th. Ryan Jones on the Honda number 683 up into that 6th place position. So right now they're showing a total of 14 riders still running on the lead lap. Bruno Silva has moved up into 15th. Eric Wood on the Kawasaki is 16th at the moment. Rich?
Into turn number 1, Eslick again with a perfect gear and low on the banking here in the trioval will retake the lead on the Suzuki, pushing May on the Yamaha back. Herron sitting back and watching. I don't think he's worried about these guys getting away. He is just sitting there and watching them beat and bang on each other. Meanwhile, that third 3-way group works its way into turn 3, and Bryce Prince has really done a great job right there with Christian and Jones. Those 3 riders really running in tight, close order. The Turbo Turtle Honda running very well here. He's continued to improve and currently shows there in 6th place. Pat?
Rich, Steve Rapp did come through there in 11th position. He may have got back here on that warm-up lap late and got put at the back of the grid. We'll try to get an update on Steve Rapp, but he has come charging up into the 11th place position, and I'm sure next time by he's going to be well inside of the top 10. His last lap there was 1:53 and change. He has gone into the 51s as the front-running 3 riders work down the back straightaway side by side as Danny Eslick moves the number 69 machine around the 99 of Jeff May to retake the lead. So it's Suzuki, Yamaha running 1, 2, 3. Then the gap back to the 4th place rider, Bryce Prince, number 174. And then we continue to watch the progress here of Steve Rapp, who did not make the start. Looks like they've got a number board and a meatball flag out here at the line, trying to get the number that might be on that board. As the meatball flag is up, whichever one of these riders has got the problem is going to have to report onto pit road. As the field comes through, lap number 36 completed. And it is Jeff May, number 99, with the lead as they completed that lap. Eslick, 69 in the 2nd place position. Then the number 2 machine of Josh Herron. And then it is Bryce Prince on the number 174 machine. Rich?
Yeah, up the short chute there. And May doing a good job in turn number 3. Gets a great drive back behind him. Herron going at it, beating and banging with Eslick as they go to the West Horseshoe. Here comes Prince leading now a 4-rider group up through the fast left-hander off to the West Horseshoe, but they are about 3.5 seconds behind the lead trio. And watching now, Steve Rapp starts to carve his way through. I did not see what the number was on the meatball flag board, but we'll try to get that in as they work their way up onto the banking here. Again, May with the advantage. Herron and Eslick beating on each other on the banking. Pat?
Steve Rapp all the way up into the 8th place position at the end of that lap. He's got a lot of ground to still make up to catch that front-running trio down the back straightaway into the chicane. Again, we had another swap in the lead. Danny Eslick, number 69, got shuffled back into that second place position as Jeff May has gone out in front. Here comes Eslick to within a bike length of May as they continue to swap the lead all over the racetrack. Josh Herron on the number 2, Mean Motorsport. Yamaha back there in the third place spot, and as they come off of turn 4 of the Super Speedway, they're going to stack it side by side here for the lead. Herron trying to get the double draft from the outside, but it'll be Eslick, 69, who will lead them at the end of lap number 37. We've got 20 laps to go in the Daytona 200. Bryce Prince going through in the fourth place spot. Then it is Ryan Christian, 74, Boston Skubik. And waiting here as the Steve Rapp machine has gone through here in 10th. So I'm not sure if Rapp has got a problem, but he lost a couple of positions on that lap. Rich.
Yeah, just watching that shovel back there. Meanwhile, the top 3 through the fast left-hander, Eslick. That's the demon on the brakes. Meanwhile, back behind him, a pair of Yamahas chomping at his heels. And again, it seems like the gearing difference is going to make up the difference because the Yamahas appear to have just a little bit of extra steam, but Eslick has been able to use that draft perfectly time and time again. Up on the banking they go here on lap number 38. Pat?
Rich, the meatball flag was for Steve Rapp, number 15. Evidently some kind of an infraction in terms of where he lined up on the grid for the restart. He was not up there on the outside of row 1 where he should have been. May have got back to the grid late, in which case you got to go to the back of the grid. And so whatever the infraction was, that meatball flag was for Steve Rapp, number 15. Right now he's on the racetrack in 10th, but I'm going to think he's going to have to come on a pit road for some kind of a ride through or some kind of a stop and go penalty. Meanwhile, up front, the front running 3 riders continue to wage a war here for the lead. Danny Eslick, number 69, Josh Herron on the number 2 machine, and here comes 99, Jeff May from 3rd. He'll go to 2nd, and up on the high side, he will take the lead across the line. If you're 3rd in that order, Rich, you can pull the double draft. You get enough of a boost that May was able to go from 3rd all the way into the lead as they hit the stripe. Bryce Prince on the 174 machine right there in 4th. Boston Skubik, number 74, in 5th. And then Ryan Christian runs 6th. 683, Ryan Jones on the Honda runs in 7th. 8th is 429, Sean Dwyer. 9th is 229, Darren James. And then in 10th is George Latakis on the number 119 machine. As we come up here on 19 laps to go, the leaders in the fast left-hander through the West Horseshoe, and now as they come out onto the infield straightaway, it is Jeff May, number 99, who will lead them out of the infield and up to that west banking. Eslick to within a bike length, and then Herron on the number 2 machine is right there. If these 3 riders stay together like this, Richard, is going to be one whale of a final lap here at Daytona, and an incredible dash from the chicane to the checkered flag at the end of 57 laps.
Well, I tell you, if Steve Rapp's got to do a pit pass through, he might as well pick up a couple of gallons of gas. 3 riders tied together into the chicane they go. They'll shuffle the order again. Eslick, just unbelievable on the brakes on the old boat company Suzuki. He will put the pass. Ooh, a little bit of a bobble there. A bobble. I think that was May who had a bobble, and he is passed for 2nd place. He drops back to 3rd. He might be losing ground, Pat, as they work their way off the east banking. We'll check the distance, but Eslick has grabbed the lead. Now he's still back up to speed. He starts to try to pull a draft off Herron's machine as they come back to start finish to complete lap number 39. Pat?
The front running 3 riders work back into the infield. It'll be number 174, Bryce Prince, in the 4th place position. Then machine of Ryan Chisholm, so no change there in 4th, 5th, and 6th. Meanwhile, up front, they continue to swap positions all over the racetrack. Eslick opens up about a 7 or 8 bike length advantage here on the infield straightaway. That's big of a lead as he's had here in a long, long time through the dog leg. Herron on the number 2 machine in 2nd, and then it is May 99 sitting there in the 3rd place spot. They are going to be encountering a slower rider by the time they get down to the chicane They peel off onto the short chute, coming to the left-hander at turn number 6, and the order stays the same. Eslick 69, Herron on the number 2 machine, and then Jeff May on the 99, right there in the third place position, as he did lose a little bit of contact, Rich, as you said, with the Eslick and the Herron machines as they work down off of turn number 2, the super speedway, and beginning the run down the back straightaway for the chicane. They're going to have to split this back marker as Eslick and Herron get around the rider. Here comes the 99 machine of Jeff May, and I think May's going to get held up. He does slice through on the inside, but I think that cost Jeff May some time getting around the slower rider. Rich?
Oh, yes, it did. It cost him almost 20 bike lengths. Eslick right up near the Daytona USA sign through NASCAR 3. Trying to get his head down. Herron trying not to lose the lead draft as they work back here to the start-finish line, but I think he knows he's got a little bit in hand over on the back straightaway. Over on this side of the racetrack, he needs the draft off Eslick's machine to get close, and he does just that as they go the brakes into turn number 1. He gets it down to about 3 bike lengths. Meanwhile, May, so really pushing hard, trying to get back on even terms with these two. Clear track in front of the top 2 as May tries to really stuff it into turn 3 and get some of that distance back. Pat, he is just out of the draft, and that's really going to hurt him bad. Back behind him, we see the Prince machine there, the number 174, and Bastian Strubik there in 5th as they work up the infield straightaway. Leaders in the West Horseshoe, Pat.
Indeed, they continue to battle back and forth up front. Jeff May has got to close it back up here, Rich. Otherwise, he's going to lose the benefit of the draft with those other 2 riders. And once you do, it's very difficult to be able to run the same kind of lap times. Bryce Prince, 174, having a whale of a ride here in the 4th place position. Bastian Skubik on the number 74 machine in 5th. 6th is 710 Ryan Christian. 7th is 683 Ryan Jones on the Honda. Darren James on the Ruthless Racing Yamaha is up into 8th. 429 Sean Dwyer in 9th, and George Latakis on the number 429 machine continues to round out the top 10.
Yeah, Pat, I'm trying to figure out where Eric Wood is back in about
16th he is at the moment, Rich, but he is running a lap down. So Eric Wood in 16th, trying to pick up some points and pick up some cash here, as he had that problem a little bit earlier, but they have soldiered on, running 1 lap down to the first 13 riders on the lead lap.
Wow, double draft, and May has caught and passed the leaders. Are you kidding me? He made up that much ground and caught these guys that quick. Wow, that's impressive, Pat, as he holds the lead now. They work their way down into turn number 3. Traffic will come into play on this lap through the infield. And again, Pat, what an incredible double draft he got to blow by both of these machines. The leader and Herron were side by side, and he got this incredible draft slingshot and into the front position, Pat. That was very impressive as we work here on lap number 42. Pat?
Indeed, on that last lap, you probably want to be the 3rd rider in that trio and try to work that double draft if you can. We work lap number 42, so next time by, it'll be just 15 laps to go in the Daytona 200. Steve Rapp on the number 15 machine has dropped off of our top 20 here at the moment. We'll see where he is currently being shown in 21st position. I believe he did have to come in here and serve that meatball penalty, and it has put him outside of the top 20. Meanwhile, out in front, Eslick on that number 69 machine continues to battle with Herron and the number 99 machine of Jeff May, working lap number 42. Rich?
Yeah, they work their way through that little chunk of traffic now and clear sailing. Well, not really clear. They're going to be able to actually use the draft off the rider that they're coming up on as they roll back here toward the start-finish line. I hope they get by him before they get to turn 1, because I don't know if there's room for 3 wide and traffic. They come to the start-finish line. three riders being led by Herron as they dive back in the infield. Up on the inside, Eslick dives through. He will grab second place back from May as they encounter the traffic right in the heart of turn one. Pat?
And they stood that slow rider right up in the middle of the turn. Eslick in second, takes a look on the inside here of Herron, and Danny Eslick will stuff it through on the inside for the lead. Josh Herron, number 2, right on his rear tire in second, and then May, number 99, watching that action ahead of him on the racetrack as they work through the fast left-hander here of the infield down to that West Horseshoe turn. It is Eslick, 69, who is an absolute demon on the brakes. Herron, number 2, right there in second on the Mean Motorsports Yamaha, and then comes the 99 machine of Jeff May sitting there in third. And you never know, Richard, whether any of these three riders are giving it 100% or whether they're just trying to plan their late race strategy. If this was the last lap, where do you want to be on the racetrack? When do you want to make that move? And how do you want to work the draft? Right now, they're side by side for the lead. Josh Herron will pull up alongside of Danny Eslick and blow by to grab the lead. Here comes the 99 machine of Jeff May. He'll take a look on the inside, and May will settle back there in third, as it'll be Josh Herron who will lead them out of the chicane here on lap number 43. The lap's winding down. 14 laps to go next time by.
Yeah, Pat, and when Herron and Eslick go side by side, that really stirs up the air and makes a big draft available for May as they work off the banking and come back here to the start finish line. Again, they battle wheel to wheel. Eslick down low on the banking, right near the double yellow line. Herron tries to look at the inside. Eslick just kind of cuts him off and doesn't even let him get a sniff of the lead. Back in third place, May. Here comes Prince. Oh, what a war they've got going on back there. Prince battling with Stubik and the rest of that. Christian also in the middle of the battle back there for the positions just inside of the top 5, Pat. And the leaders into it, out of turn 3, up the short chute they go. And they do have a little bit of traffic spread out in front of them. This is going to be interesting watching how they feed each other traffic and try to scrape off the riders behind them using that traffic. Pat?
Indeed, they work off of the West Horseshoe turn. There are 3 slower riders ahead of them as they come through and into turn number 6. Herron takes a look on the inside, then the 69 machine of Eslick will hold him off, and then 99 Jeff May sitting back there in third. They run a little bit wider, run out of the infield, go around the first of those 3 riders in the west end of the Speedway. It is still Eslick holding the advantage. Here comes Herron. He'll pick up the draft off of that slower machine and close right up here on the number 69 machine of Eslick into the chicane. Danny Eslick just about runs into the back of that slower rider. Herron trying to pick his way through. So finally they're able to dispose of those 3 slower riders and work up to that 31-degree east banking here on lap number 44. Next time by, it'll be 13 laps to go. Rich?
Yeah, Pat, we got to start thinking about a little extra fuel. You want to get it now or do you want to get it later? You're going to have to get something. A splash and go is going to have to happen as they come to the stripe. This time it's Herron practicing his slingshot move. That's about what he did here about 15, 20 laps ago, practicing his move on Eslick, but Eslick says nothing to it, fights back as they battle through the turn 1-2 combination. Oh, Eslick just a wild man through the infield on the brakes. They work their way down to the short chute. More traffic. Eslick on the inside. He can kind of dictate the pace of the corner as he sees the rider just in front of him. He will slip up and around the rider. Herron goes by as well. Now it's May's chance. Oh, May gets hung up. May gets hung up behind the traffic, Pat. He's got to wait his turn as they go to the West Horseshoe.
And May does close it up on the brakes. It's still 3 riders right there. Jeff May, the pole sitter, sitting in third. Danny Eslick, who qualified 4th fastest, and Josh Herron, our 2nd fastest qualifier, missed the pole by 5 1/1000ths of a second. And those 3 riders go to the west banking on lap number 45. And the question, Rich, is can, in fact, they go 24 laps at racing speed? Do these tanks on these 600cc machines have enough Sunoco fuel to get them here to the checkered flag. And we'll see if some of these riders simply roll the dice or whether or not they do, in fact, come on a pit road. If you come on a pit road, even for a splash of fuel, Rich, it's just too close out there on the racetrack. You're going to give up any chance of getting to Gatorade Victory Lane. But again, the opposite there, it is a high risk reward call that you're going to have to make. They complete lap number 44, and it is Josh Herron with the lead at the end of that 44th lap. Danny Eslick in second, Jeff May third, Bryce Prince 174 still running in fourth, Bastian Skubik in the fifth place spot. As the lead trio works back into the infield, it is Jeff May with the lead, Eslick 69 in second, and then Josh Herron on the number 2 machine running in third. It has been that close all race long. We had as many as 8-9 machines up in the early going. We've had, I believe, about 4 different red flags that have all pulled the field back together. And with the restart here, the 3 riders have been able to set a torrid pace. Right now, they're running laps in and around the minute 52s, minute 53s. And it will be the number 99 machine of Jeff May who will bring them off of the corner. And they're about to exit out of the infield here on what will be lap number 46. So next time by, it'll be just 11 laps to go. Change in the 7th place position as Darren James has moved up into 7th. Sean Dwyer on the number 429 machine is 8th. 9th is George Latakis. And Christopher Knopf, now number 131, has taken over that 10th place spot as Ryan Jones does not come by. So Jones on the Honda may have a problem. He has dropped out of the top 10. Lead pack into the chicane, and it is Josh Herron who has gone back into the point position. Jeff May, number 99, second, and Danny Eslick on that 69 machine running third. And I think, Rich, this is where they're trying to do some homework and figure out where I want to be, where do I have an advantage over the other rider in terms of gearing and sheer top-end speed coming back here to the checkered flag, because it looks like we're setting up for a chicane to checkered flag dash on the last lap. Eslick will lead lap number 46 across the line.
Yeah, from third to first. And Pat, there again, I think you're exactly right. Homework being completed here as they work their way up the short chute. Herron tried to get out front and gain a little bit of distance, but he was just a sitting duck. And whoa, one rider gets wide there through the turn 3 area. I think that was Herron who got in there a little bit deep and got a little bit out of shape. That allowed Eslick to make a break. It's not much of a break, but it's a little bit. Also, Pat, the wind has died down just a little bit. From what it was earlier, the wind is not nearly as brisk as it was. So as they work out of the West Horseshoe here, the wind dying down, the race heating up here as we come to the final 10 laps. Pat?
Richard, looking at a couple of dandy 2-rider battles going on inside of the top 10 as we look at our front-running 3 riders clear out of the infield and go to that west banking. Rider number 710, Ryan Christian, is having a war with Darren James for 6th and 7th, and just ahead of them on the racetrack, Bastian Skubik, number 74, and 174, Bryce Prince. That is the fight for 4th and 5th. Now, if anything does happen in terms of fuel or so forth with our front-running 3 riders, Prince 174 and Skubik number 74 might be right there to pick up that last ticket, the Gatorade Victory Lane, as we wind it down. This will be 47 laps up on the board. Next time by, it'll be just 10 to go.
Pat off of the banking again, they form up, and this time Eslick again from 3rd place will try to make a run on the 2 Yamahas as they come back to the start finish, and again a perfect double draft. Oh, Pat, that would have been a half a wheel for Eslick into turn 1. He pulls it down right across Herron's front wheel. Oh, there's no love lost between these two. One rider gets right in the way of Jeff May as they make their way through the turn 2-3 combination. In fact, Eslick almost scrubbed off May going into turn number 1 by getting through and getting that rider around, and now May finally clears the traffic, but he's got about 20 bike lengths to make up. He's going to have to really go now, Pat, with 10 to go, but still, where's the gas going to come from? They're going to have to stop, I'm sure, before the end of this thing. Pat?
Anthony Fania Richard just came on a pit road. He is running 22nd. It looks like he'll pick up enough miles here to go to 5th overall in Daytona 200 mileage. And again, that is the big question mark. Do these front-running 3 riders have enough fuel to go the entire way, or do all 3 or perhaps 1 or 2 of those front-running 3 machines have to come on a pit road here for a splash and go? We work lap number 48 of 57 that makes up the 200-mile run here this afternoon at Daytona. Right now, the battle up front, Josh Herron on the number 2 machine has retaken the lead. Here comes Danny Eslick once again, will draft pass, and on the brakes, Eslick will go back into the lead. That'll move the number 99 machine of Jeff May just a little bit closer after he got scrubbed off a little bit, trying to get around some of the slower traffic on the racetrack.
Off the banking again, almost equal distance, first, second to third as they form up now. Let's see if May can get the double draft here. May can get the double draft as they come back to start finish. Pat?
Back up across the line, it'll be Herron who will lead lap number 48 across the line into turn number 1. There's a rider who just ran wide in the turn 1 area, well out of the way, as Herron on that number 2 machine will bring them to the International Horseshoe, and there are 4 slower riders ahead of the group, one of them coming back onto the racetrack. There is a trio of riders ahead of our front-running group on the infield straightaway. Herron, number 2, is your leader, 69. Eslick in second, and then May, number 99, sitting there in third. Every one of these riders trying to plan some kind of a strategy with the draft. Where do you want to be late in the race in terms of how you're going to finish here at the checkered flag? The trio of slower riders ahead as they run into the international or into the left-hand turn. May got hung up. Jeff May got hung up. A couple of those riders did move out of the way and provide some room, but Jeff May got the worst of that run through that trio of back markers, and it's going to cost them a good 10 to 15 bike lengths as they work off of turn number 2 of the Super Speedway and head down the back straightaway. Josh Herron, your leader. Here comes Eslick taking a look on the inside. Danny Eslick going for the lead into the chicane, and no, Herron will hold him off. May, number 99, has closed back up there in the 3rd place spot. 74, Bastian Skubik is 4th. Bryce Prince, 174, 5th. That is a war going on for 4th and 5th between those 2 riders. Darren James, number 229, now has moved up into that 6th place position. 7th is number 710, Ryan Christian. 8th is 429, Sean Dwyer.
On the pit road, Pat. Here comes Herron, number 2, peels off at speed. He rolls down pit lane. Okay, they're waiting in the Mean Motorsport area. He rolls in, stops. He's got to jump clear of the motorcycle. Refueling rig goes in. Only a couple of seconds of gas is all you need. He's back on, bike back down, and he is away. So he has stopped to grab a splash of gas. Now we'll have to wait for the rest of the crew to stop in. I thought one of these riders would jump in early on pit lane and try to grab enough fuel to finish this thing up. Meanwhile, the lead pair now work its way through the West Horseshoe. Pat?
Indeed, just 2 riders now. If everything goes according to plan, the next 2 riders to come on here, 69 Eslick and the number 99 machine of May, assuming that they're going to have to come on to pit road here for fuel, then all 3 of those riders should be pretty close together once they get out back onto the racetrack. But still a long way to go. Working lap number 50. Next time by, it'll be 7 laps to go. Bryce Prince, number 174, has moved up into that 3rd place spot. Bastian Skubik is in 4th, and then, at least for the moment, Darren James is now up into the 5th place spot after that splash and go for the number 2 machine of Josh Herron. Rich?
into and out of the chicane, and they've got traffic ahead of them. Meanwhile, May with the lead, but here's Eslick now in the draft behind the number 99 machine up on the east banking. They peel it down off the wall. Let's see if anybody makes a dash onto pit lane. Both riders still on the racetrack. Yes, both riders still stay on the racetrack. Eslick drives low on the inside. He will retake the lead. They'll dive through traffic. He'll try to scrape off May as they drive into turn one again. May gets slightly hung up. Eslick has to take his time as he hits another chunk of traffic. Again, he'll try to scrub May off. Up the short chute they go. May has to duck and dive and get through, and he did lose some in that exchange. Pat?
Well, indeed, Rich. Bryce Prince coming through here in third. Bastian Skubik in fourth. Josh Herron across the line in the fifth place spot, so he is sitting in fifth. Assuming Eslick and May have got to come on a pit road here in the next 2 or 3 laps. We'll see what transpires, but right now it is a two-rider battle up front. Meanwhile, updating Patricia Fernandez, the lone woman who entered the 200. She's having a pretty good run here in 20th position after starting back in 39th. Patricia Fernandez all the way up into 20th as we look at the race leader, Danny Eslick, on that number 69 machine as he works to the west end of the Speedway here on lap number 51. So next time by, it'll be just 6 laps to go. Rich?
Pat, I wonder if they've got a fuel light on board that old boat company, Suzuki. He might be just waiting until the fuel light comes on before he dives onto pit road, but he is making hay while the sun shines here, and he has scrubbed off the May machine, and now as they work through traffic, he has just really got his head down. May trying to keep a steady head and maybe even be close, but Eslick now with the biggest lead of the race, Pat. Eslick has really got his head down. Let's see what he does as he comes to the front straightaway. No dodge to pit lane, Pat. So it looks like he's just going to ride it until the light comes on. We'll have to wait and see as they start to think about some of the other riders having to come in for that little splash of fuel. But again, one rider on the pit lane at high speed.
And Rich, here they come into the International Horseshoe Turn. There is a slower ride ahead of the lead pair. And of course, the big question here is, what is the fuel consumption? Is there a difference between the Yamaha and the Suzuki GSXR 600? Eslick on that GSXR 600 will blow by that slower rider down to the West Horseshoe. Jeff May will run it up underneath, but I think May got, again, as he's had a number of times here, hung up behind that slower rider, and that's allowed Eslick to stretch it out. Danny Eslick trying to win back-to-back Daytona 200s a year ago on the Triumph Daytona 675 triple, and here this afternoon trying to bring it home to the win on a old boat company Suzuki GSXR 600. Rich?
Yeah, well, how much gas does it take for 5 laps? And if you had a fuel gauge, would you really believe it? Oh, man. And again, May riding his heart out, trying to stay close to Eslick, Pat. He keeps getting bad cards in traffic, but he is just stuffing it through the corner, trying to stay even with the old boat company Suzuki as they battle into and out of the chicane here. This will be 5 laps to go when they cross the start finish this time, Pat. Let's see if either of these riders make a dodge for pit lane. They're on the NASCAR banking. They're in turn 3, working their way around the banking and headed back towards start finish. And here comes May onto pit lane, I do believe. Yes, May on pit lane at speed, number 99, blazing down to the final pit stall. That could be an advantage. He rolls into position. They put the quick fill in only for a couple of seconds, Pat. That's all you need. He has to get off the bike, of course. They put it on the stand. They refuel it. And now they're hung up just a little bit, I do believe, Pat. Finally, he gets back out, but he's got to use the return road to get back on the racetrack, so that's going to take some time. Oh, extra time there on the refueling rig. I don't know what was going on, but he has lost a tremendous amount of time. Pat?
Here is Danny Eslick, the race leader, into the West Horseshoe Turn. If the other two riders have come on to pit road, I would think Eslick might be coming home here next time by, but we'll wait to see. Danny Eslick all by himself out in front. I think that has moved the Bryce Prince machine, I believe, maybe up into second, at least momentarily. And again, the question is, does Bryce Prince and Boston Skubik, do those two riders have enough fuel to get here to the end, or do both of them have to go with the splash and go? He never gave you a definite answer, Rich, when you interviewed him a little bit later on. So a bunch of the riders here, some late stop and go, or some splash and go fuel stops coming up as we look at the race leader. Big wheelie out of the chicane. Danny Eslick, number 69. We'll see if he's going to bring it onto pit road, or whether Eslick is going to try to roll the dice here and try to go the entire distance. Danny Eslick on that number 69 machine. This will be lap number 53, about to go in the books.
Pat on the pit road at speed. Here comes Eslick, still tucked in. As he rolls down to his pit stop, now he goes to the brakes. Oh, he's on the brakes hard. He'll roll into the next to the last pit stall. The quick fill into the bike as he jumps clear, the stand on. Oh, that should be enough gas there. Pop it down and go. As he jumps back on the motorcycle and re-enters, he'll have to use the slow road around to get it back into the racing area. Other splash and go activity going on here. Now it all comes down to where are the rest of the riders on the racetrack. Eslick works his way down to the entry onto the racetrack. He's got to take the long way around turn 3 and head up the short chute. Here comes Herod, I think, into the turn 3 area, and Eslick, I think, got out in front of him, Pat. I'll have to wait and see for sure, but I think Eslick got back on course ahead of the number 2 machine. We'll just have to wait and see. Pat?
Wild and woolly conclusion to this Daytona 200. Right now, Bryce Prince, number 174, is up into that second place position on that tuned racing entry. Josh Herron is showing in third, and then the number 99 machine of Jeff May. Boston Skubik, I believe, may have moved up a spot here. We'll reset the running order for you as Eslick brought it onto pit road. He was the last of the top 3 riders to bring it onto pit road. We'll see where everybody files in here now with a little over 3.5 laps to go. Rich?
Pat, he was smoking down pit lane. I think he was just about as fast on pit lane as he would have been on the tri-oval. Then he came hard on the brakes and ducked into the pit area very quickly. They got the refueling rig in after he had jumped clear, and he got back on and got a pretty good launch out of the pit area and back out onto the racetrack. And I think he got on course ahead of Herod. We'll have to wait and see. Wow, we're winding it down here. Less than 4 to go, Pat, as they come back to the stripe, waiting for the lead machine to clock 54 laps. And there he is, Danny Eslick, with a big cushion. There's Herod across the start-finish line. Eslick has got almost 2 seconds on him, Pat, and only about 4 laps to go, less than 4 to go to win his second 200 in a row. Pat?
Bryce Prince and Boston Skubik both had to come in for splash and go, so right now there's 5 seconds with less than 3 laps to go. 5 seconds back to Jeff May. The question is, can Josh Herron close in on Danny Eslick? Skubik back out onto the racetrack in the 4th place spot. Bryce Prince in 5th. We'll reset the rest of the top 10 for you, but every one of those top 3 riders did not have the fuel to go the distance. They had to come and get that final splash and go, and right now Eslick with the best of the pit stops, and he has got about a 3-second advantage over Josh Herron as he works his way out of the infield and heads up to the west banking. We'll check the interval. Next time by, it'll be 55 laps in the books, and it'll be just 2 to go. And we'll have to check the record books, Rich. You go back a long time to find the last rider who was able to win back-to-back. I know in 1970 and 71, Dick Mann won back-to-back here at the 200, but there may be a more recent Daytona 200 winner. Who could do it back to back, but we're still a long way from over. Josh Herrin is putting on a big charge. It was 3.3 seconds the last time by here to complete lap number 54. We'll see the interval once they roll back here to complete lap number 55. It'll be just 2 to go. Race leader Danny Eslick on that number 69 machine works his way off of turn 4 of the super speedway, heading back to the stripe. Josh Herrin continues to close here. It's down to 1.6 seconds. So Herrin is putting on a charge into turn number 1. Who's got enough tire left on the machine? They both have enough fuel, but into turn number 1, Herrin has cut that lead in half. It's down to 1.6 seconds. There's your leader, Eslick, number 69, and here comes Josh Herrin on the number 2 machine. They're on the infield straightaway, heading down to the fast left-hander.
Oh, Pat, that's a lot of distance to make up in 2 laps, especially against a guy like Danny Eslick. Now, these two, as I said earlier, are not the best of friends. They have been rivals, and they really don't care for each other. And you can see that in the braking as Eslick just trying to show up Herrin by stuffing it by him in each and every corner. Right now, he's got a little bit of a cushion, but nobody to dance with. Herrin back behind him is using traffic. He's using riders. He's lapping. He's using everything he can get a hold of to try to run down this number 69 machine. Pat, we've got about a lap and a half to go here in the 74th running of the Daytona 200.
And Josh Herrin is coming. That last lap, Richard, was a minute 51 for Herrin. Eslick was a minute 53. So Josh Herrin is the faster of the 2 riders. Here's Eslick. He's going to get hung up behind a slower rider right in the middle of the chicane, and that is going to allow Herrin on that number 2 machine to close it up a little bit more. I think it's going to be less than a second as they come up here to take what will be the white last lap flag, and this is going to be one whale of a final lap in the Daytona 200. Broken Arrow, Oklahoma's number 69, Danny Eslick on the Suzuki, rolls up across the line. There's the white flag, and there is Josh Herrin to within less than a second as they work back into the infield at turn 1. Again, another lap at a minute 51 for Josh Herrin, and is close to within about 5 or 6 bike lengths as they peel off at turn number 1 and head to the International Horseshoe Turn for the final time. Eslick stuffs it in on the inside. Here is Herrin trying to get down underneath of that slower rider that he will blow by here on the infield straightaway. Less than a lap to go. The 69 machine of Danny Eslick, number 2, Josh Herrin, a Suzuki against the Yamaha. 4 honors here in the 2015 Daytona 200.
Is right with him as they work their way up the short chute to turn 6. Now, would Eslick actually let him get by and then do a draft slingshot on him? Wow, big questions as they work to the banking. Pat?
Eslick appears to have a motorcycle that's moving around. He may have used up all of the tires. And here comes Herrin. He's alongside, and he's going to blow by for the lead. Josh Herrin has taken the lead with less than a lap to go. Is Eslick playing a little bit of a waiting game here? Does he have an ace card up his sleeve? Down the back straightaway, here comes Eslick. He'll take a look on the inside. There is a slower rider ahead of the lead pair into the chicane. Herrin ducks underneath. Here is Eslick on the number 69 machine, and now it's a classic run from the chicane to the checkered flag. Josh Herrin, the 2010 champion, up against last year's champion and Danny Eslick. Georgia against Oklahoma. They're off of turn number 4 of the super speedway. They are side by side. Checkered flag out at the line. Eslick trying to hang on. Here comes Josh Herrin. Eslick wins it. Eslick wins it for the 2nd year in a row. Danny Eslick by .006 of a second after giving up the lead on the last lap. Richard, that's as incredible a Daytona 200 finish as we've ever seen. 2 former champions battling like a couple of heavyweights in the ring. But here at Daytona International Speedway, as up on Fans Choice TV, we look at the finish, and it was as close as we've ever had here. .006 of a second. Jeff May gets up there to grab third. A great run for Jeff May. What a Cinderella story. Wasn't to be here at Daytona up until a matter of weeks ago. The crowdfunding of his ride, he brings it home here in third. Bastian Skubik representing Europe, the rider from Slovenia, his best finish ever. He will finish in the fourth place spot, and then it'll be Bryce Prince, 174 in fifth. Darren James, the lone Canadian rider in the field, brings that Ruthless Racing Dealey Harley-Davidson sponsored entry home in in fifth. So James will get elevated up to fifth. I think Bryce Prince may have had a little bit of an issue there late in the race. Sean Dwyer, as the rest of the riders, will give you a final rundown here shortly. But Danny Eslick, the winner by .006 of a second on fanschoice.tv. We look at the finish between those two riders, and Rich, it'll be interesting to hear exactly what was going on there on that last lap between those two riders. Eslick was not running as quick as Herron, was able to run him down. And what a run there for Danny Eslick, back-to-back here a year ago on the Triumph Daytona 675 triple, and here this afternoon on the Suzuki GSX-R 600, the old boat company win. Eslick, I think, stopped there on the backside of the race course there to be congratulated by a couple of folks, that old boat company Suzuki, as he savors this victory lap here at Daytona as he works down to the West Horseshoe Turn. Rich, you and I have had the chance to call some thrilling finishes here in the Daytona 200 over the last 3 or 4 decades, but I tell you, that one is as good as it gets.
Yeah, Pat, and I have to wonder if Eslick actually let him catch up, because he knew he had such a good gear coming back here to the start-finish line. And again, just really got a draft going. And actually, he fed the old Herod a little bit of grass there as they came to the tri-oval too. And you know, you got to use the racetrack as it is. And again, as the motorcycles work their way around here, I know that number 69 stopped over there to give the McNology crew a big wave over there on the infield straightaway. Wow, back to back here at Daytona. Pat will be checking in from Victory Lane here very shortly, but what a great 74th running of this Daytona 200.
Well, it did take a few red flag situations, but I tell you, that last stint was as good as it gets. Jeff May having a great run as well up there into the third place spot. Bastian Skubik from Slovenia, and Darren James from Canada giving us a little bit of an international flair there in our top 5. They're getting things organized in Gatorade Victory Lane, and we'll be heading down there as soon as they are ready to go with the presentations. So Danny Eslick, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma rider, was 4th fastest in the qualifying. You had the feeling, Richard, even going back to Thursday, where Eslick, I think at times, didn't run the transponder in the practice session. He really didn't want to see what cards they had to play. Came out here, was very competitive in the qualifying, ended up 4th fastest. And even this morning in that final warm-up, didn't really run a fast lap. They were practicing their pit stops, and he just appeared as veteran a rider as he is, with all of his experience, trying to plot some kind of a strategy late in that race that would get him to the checkered flag first, as they worked out of the infield on that last lap in the west banking. Josh Herron was able to grab the lead. They worked down the back straightaway. Eslick closed with the back marker sitting right between the two riders, and as they came off of turn number 4 of the Super Speedway, he was able to hold off Josh Herron for the win. So motorcycles starting to make their way back on around here into the garage area. Our top 3 machines, of course, will be going to Gatorade Victory Lane. They'll take some of the other top machines in the running order here. They'll have to go to the post-race tech inspection to make sure that everything was A-OK in terms of the rules and regulations for the class here this afternoon. But Danny Eslick rolling into Gatorade Victory Lane. Josh Herron, what a run he had. And then Jeff May on the number 99 machine, bringing the May Day fans supported. And I'm sure every one of those 85 people who did go on to GoFundMe and made a financial contribution have got to be thinking, boy, have I got a return on my investment. And we're going to send it down to Gatorade Victory Lane. Richard, a lot of emotion down there, a lot of great stories, as Danny Eslick, along with Josh Herron and Jeff May, are the three riders who have made their way to Gatorade Victory Lane here this afternoon. Rich? We'll get back to Richard Chambers here momentarily. Remember.
All right, Pat, here we are in Gatorade Victory Lane. Danny Eslick, come here, boy. Danny, over here. Oh, he can't hear me. He's got his earplugs in. Come on up. Danny Eslick, everybody. Back-to-back wins at Daytona. Wow, Danny, last year's race went pretty good, but how did this one go?
Well, that's probably the first 200 in history that didn't have pit stops. No, it was, I don't even know what to say about that. Those last couple laps were pretty crazy. I thought I was all by myself and looked back and there's big number 2. So I kind of eased up. I knew he was going to catch me. I didn't want him to catch me right there at the end. So he did right what I wanted, went by, and I drafted him to the line. So it was just kind of, I don't know, textbook draft passing at Daytona.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Let's bring on the president of Daytona International Speedway here to make the presentation. Here we'll turn it over to Mr. Joey Chidwood. Joey?
On behalf of the staff here at Daytona International Speedway, all I can say is what a fabulous 74th running of the Daytona 200. How about you lift that trophy over your head, show everybody what a great it is to be a champion here at Daytona. And in addition to that great trophy, something new this year, a Rolex Cosmograph Daytona watch, gold and steel. So come on over here while we show off this Rolex for everybody. Congratulations on the behalf here of Daytona. We appreciate it. I know you're going to be a great champion for us. And more importantly, want to make sure that we thank Azra and CCS for stepping in and putting on a great show for us. You guys put on a great show out there. I know our fans enjoyed it. Can't wait to see you guys come back for the 75th.
Oh, thank you very much. I'd like to thank Azra and CCS for putting the 200 on, and the rest of the teams that came out and did it. Everybody else said it was a joke. I think that was a hell of a race.
Awesome. Can't wait for the 75th. Thank you.
Okay, all right, now let's bring up our second place finisher. Please, Mean Motorsport, Wheels in Motion, motorsport.com rider, Josh Herron. Josh, come on up, buddy. Wow, what a race. You guys put on quite a show.
Yeah, it was a tough race. I think Danny rode an amazing race, so did Jeff. It was a bummer that Rapp didn't get to join us there at the end, but we really got killed with those red flags. I know my team's been practicing a ton getting the pit stops down. We were able to do the fuel and both tires under 15 seconds, and I really feel like we would have shined there and got a good gap. But luck just didn't go our way today. I rode as hard as I could, and just wasn't good enough. So, just want to thank the whole Wheels in Motion, motorsport.com, Mean Motorsports, Yamaha team. They've really done a phenomenal job. I'm coming off of the worst year in my career so far, and these guys couldn't help but make it any better, and I'm proud to call them my team and go into the Moto America Series with them.
All right, buddy, jump on up there, and we'll make the presentation by the president of Daytona International Speedway. And now, please welcome our third place finisher, Jeff May, on the Project Mayday entry. Wow. What a Cinderella story, and it almost happened, dude. Almost.
Yeah, I mean, that's Daytona for you, man. I came out of the pits there on that last stop. Guys did a fabulous job, and part of the quick dump came off in the gas cap. I went into the second horseshoe with Heron there. It's like, all right, here we go. It's going to be a draft to the finish, and gasoline exploded all over me and my face and the shield, and it caught me by guard. I thought the motorcycle expired, and I looked down going into the barrel turn before we go out on NASCAR 1, and I saw it looked like a zip tie stuck in the gas tank. So it was holding the gas tank open, and I was on the banking trying to bang the thing out of there and pull it out. And finally, I pushed it down, and it fell in the tank. But by that time, these guys were gone, and that's it. That's all it took. So, but I got to thank everybody that got me here. This is for you guys. Hey, we're on the podium out of a van. Way to go! Thank you. This is for you.
All right, and Mr. Chidwood to make the presentation. Well, here we are, Gatorade Victory Lane, and the family, the May family, the new May rolls up here, the Arai helmet being there stationed right alongside the Daytona 200 sign as the crew and our Fans Choice TV folks around the world get a shot to look at Gatorade Victory Lane and all of our top three. I think little Mr. May is more interested in Dad than he is the crowd. But anyway, folks, let's hear what a great Daytona 200. And now it's one of the times that we celebrate here in Victory Lane when we get to do the fight, the champagne fight. And everybody that I know smart enough starts to split the scene. I'm gonna stand here anyway. I've got a new shirt. I can get it a little champagne-y. Hey folks, here we go. Almost time for the champagne. Now don't run, enjoy it. Champagne spray here in Victory Lane as Danny Eslick takes a big swallow and dumps it all over him. He's gonna save the rest for later. Wow, what a great, great race. Pat, I think you said it very well. We've seen a lot of Daytona 200s, but this one was truly, truly special. There was a Dunlop tire sweep, 1, 2, 3, and wow, thanks again to our Fans Choice TV folks who are here. Thanks to all the fans all around the world, and thanks to the fans who came for the fan walk and here to the racetrack to enjoy this fabulous event. Pat, I'm inviting everybody back here right now. 75th running of the Daytona 200 comes up just 1 year away. Pat?
Well, indeed, and of course, Richard, our Daytona Rising reimagining of Daytona International Speedway will be completed by next, so actually by January, plenty of time. I'm sure the celebrations
Jared Mees, Grand National number 1.
Brian Smith, National number 42.
Hey, I'm Sammy Halbert, number 7, watching me live on fanschoice.tv. I'm Kenny Coolback, watching live on fanschoice.tv. Hey, I'm Brandon Robinson, national number 44, and watching me live on fanschoice.tv.
I'm Shayna Texter, number 52, and you're watching me live on Fans Choice TV.
I'm Henry Wiles, number 17, watch me live on fanschoice.tv.
I'm Rob Pearson, number 27, KTM GE Waters Auto Body.
I'm Jeffrey Carver, national number 23. Watch me on fanschoice.tv.
I'm Johnny Lewis, watching me live on fanschoice.tv.